What's going on, everybody? My name's T.S. and I write comics, and I have a brand new comic book out called Hellion and Bash #2. It's live on Kickstarter right now for a few more hours. We're just down to hours now. I think 10 hours to go. We are fully backed. We're sitting at $3,378 out of a $3,000 goal with 79 backers. I'd love to see to get it to 80 if we could. But yeah, if you like comic books like Hellion and Bash, like Batman and Robin or Invincible, you might like Hellion and Bash. The whole idea is who saves the sidekick from the superhero. So if you like books like The Boys or Invincible or The Victories, where you have superheroes in a more mature story, you might like this. You might want to check it out. The whole idea is this sidekick Hellion is getting abused by his superhero, this Batman analog named Gargoyle, and the superheroes are kind of complicit in that behavior because who's going to stand up to Batman? Until Bash, the world's greatest super thief, this world's Catwoman, steps up to save the kid, and they both got to go on the run from the entire superhero community. So if anything I said sounds interesting, you can go and check that out. I also have all of my other books available at the link in my bio, so you can go ahead and check that out. Let me know what you think. Go check out some of these books. It's being published by Professional Entropy, drawn by Marcus Pedro. We have an awesome team over there, lettered by Mike Stock, one of the best letterers working in the business right now. So if anything like that sounds interesting, go check it out. But also, because the campaign's ending, I already got backed, I have all this awesome support, I just want to hang out with you, answer questions about writing comic books, publishing them, anything you want to know. Just keep me some company while I have to send like a million emails. White, what's going on, dude? How's everyone doing today? New comic book day was yesterday. Did anyone get any good finds? Anybody hit up their local comic book shop? I picked up a lot of kids' comic books, a lot of Dogman. I got a few new recommendations for my daughter as well. Also picked up some more Babysitters Club for them. I picked up a bunch more Massiveverse stuff. Picked up a few Daredevil back issues just to kind of fill out my collection. My wife picked up more Energon Universe. I think she picked up Destro Volume 1. I'm excited to read that as well. I don't know what I'm going to do when I start going live and I don't have this trailer to show off. If you're watching on YouTube or Instagram, I have a trailer for my newest comic book running like just the entire time while I go. Then as soon as the campaign ends, I'll be putting up issue 1 up for sale and issue 2 for pre-order up on the publisher's website. I might have a few copies on my own website as well. I'm not quite sure. Probably put up a few on the TikTok shop, that kind of thing. And then we're pushing Tokyo Fire issue 2. That's the next big campaign that we're doing. So if you like cyberpunk goodness, two goober thieves get caught in the middle of something that they really shouldn't be in for, get in over their head when they steal something they shouldn't have stolen from someone they definitely shouldn't be stealing from, and they get caught in between superpowered cops, superpowered criminals, an entire class revolution, and all sorts of other like sinister conspiracies. And it's a really fun ride. My co-creator Sky Hawkins has this really cool like Cartoon Network Gendy Tartakovsky art style that is really unique, in my opinion, to what you're going to see on the store shelves. When I try to sell indie books to a lot of shops, I'll bring in Hellion and Bash because it's my superhero book, right? It's the one I'm selling right now. And sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. Usually when they say no, though, they're like, listen, we have a lot of superhero stuff. We only have a little bit of room for indie stuff. If it was a little bit more bombastic, a little bit more unique, maybe we'd put it on our shelves. I was talking to John Avina yesterday from Avina Comics, and he said the same thing. He goes into shops, and when he tries to put his, like, somewhat stereotypical-looking comic books on there, they say, no, maybe. If it was weird, we'd put it on the shelf. And so that's the thing with Tokyo Fire. Tokyo Fire is a little bit weird, and that's usually where we get a yes. I'm down to actually the last 50 copies. I think I need to do another reprint, so if you want to get your hands on the first printing of Tokyo Fire, we have maybe 50 issues left. We've burned through our entire stock. Part of that was because we got a publisher for it, and they bought out, I think, like 100 copies of what I had sitting around. And then I had to send some to Sky Hawkins, the co-creator. What's going on, everybody? I see some people in the chat. I definitely owe you emails. I apologize. I've just been busy. Amber, thank you so much for the gift. You're the best. Thank you. I see you popping up in everyone's lives. You are everywhere, dude. Thank you so much for hanging out. Taylor, Bug Boy, you sent me a message. I'll definitely check it out, dude. I haven't been on Discord yet today. That's probably where you sent it, right? I have been trying to wrap up all the loose ends as the campaign's coming to an end, and I had some publisher homework. I got invited to a con, and so I had to fill out the paperwork for that. Speaking of which, I need to send payment for that right now. I gotta make sure no one sees it on any of my screens. But I gotta do that while I'm talking about it, otherwise I'll forget. Yep, I'm probably rewriting Chimera a little. That's good though. Like a good rewrite is going to it's going to level up your stuff, right? Specifically, not just in general, like a good rewrite in general too. But I've read your stuff. If you incorporate a lot of the stuff that we've talked about in your work on your dialogue, give your dialogue a second pass, I think is really going to level up what you have going on, and revisit the fight scenes that you're not confident in. I would make that recommendation because I know that you weren't excited by some of them on a reread. Don't be afraid to revisit that stuff. You have a really good starting point. You understand the structure of a comic book. And don't forget those splash pages that we talked about. Make sure you're adding in those really good page turns. You can do it. I've been reading comics like Transformers and Absolute Batman. Great list. It's a great two to start with. Love Absolute Batman and I love Transformers. Are you talking about the Energon Universe Transformers? The new Daniel Warren Johnson run? I love everything the Energon Universe is putting out right now. Really excited to check out Destro, but I have a rule. I don't like playing with other people's toys before they get a chance to. My wife bought Destro this week. She was excited about it, so I'm going to let her read it first before I, crack it open. Yep, all caught up on Energon. All caught up? Dude, that's really cool. Like I said, I'm behind on the G.I. Joe stuff. I just read Volume 2 of Void Rivals, Volume 2 of Transformers, and then I've read everything of the G.I. Joe lineup up to Destro. So, Duke, Cobra Commander, Scarlet. I think that's everything from the Energon universe, right? It's just G.I. Joe, Void Rivals, and Transformers. But there's always something else. That was the thing with the Massive universe. I kind of slept on it in its first year. So then when I started catching up on it, still really enjoyed it. Love everything the Massiverse is putting out. But it got wide pretty quickly. And I didn't know all of the books that were coming out. So I had to hunt down Inferno Girl Red. And the hardest one for me to find as I was trying to catch up on everything was the Dead Lucky. That one was just not available in most places for Volume 1. I don't know if it's because it sold really well, so it wasn't around, or maybe the opposite and they just didn't carry it. But it took me a while. I had to go to several different shops to find Volume 1. So issue 1 will probably have a different ending and more breathing room instead of the fast pace. That could be good. That could be good. Let it breathe, especially if you don't know where it's going to live yet. If you don't know if you're going to be selling it to a publisher, if you're going to be doing it yourself, don't be afraid to kind of let it hang out, because when you go to a publisher, they're going to have notes a lot of times. They're going to want to see a certain thing. Usually that's why they want the book. But you have a different kind of pressure. Versus when you're writing it for yourself, you can really let it be whatever you want it to be. With Hellion and Bash, I had a few twists and turns in there that I was worried I wasn't doing fast enough. And then when I started self-publishing, I'm like, well, it doesn't matter, right? As long as I can afford to make the book, I can make it whatever I want it to be. So I didn't have to worry about setting up a million different things and paying them off and pushing the plot along. I could go at my own pace. And I think it's better for it. And also, not to throw my publishers under the bus, all the publishers that I've worked with so far have been really kind and hands off. They just either write me a check or tell me where to be. They're really, really cool. But I do know that sometimes they do have more input. But because I only work with 2 smaller publishers, they're very, very kind. And as I'm wrapping up the campaign for Hellion and Bash, let me know if you have any questions about that. I know a lot of people in here have been talking about doing their own Kickstarters and what they're going to next. I learned a lot on this campaign on what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing. Got some help from some other indie creators on just like how to succeed better on Kickstarter. Like not so much like what I should be doing with my book, but just like how to run a better campaign, you know? Hey TS, how's your day going? Hey, thanks for asking, Comic Talk. How you doing, dude? I'm a little bit tired. I'm a little bit burnt out from this campaign. Excited that this is the last day. Want to do one final push, advertise a little bit more, you know, get the word out there, but am excited to take a little bit of a break when it comes to the marketing. I have a lot of writing to do, so I'm a little bit sleepy because I haven't been sleeping as much. I've been a lot of late nights. I was podcasting late last night for the My Primos podcast. Awesome podcast. Go check those dudes out. Awesome people. It was half the cast and me yesterday, so it was me, John Avina, and Kevin Garcia, and we had a really good time just chatting about comic books and stuff. But because I did that late and I had a lot of marketing stuff to do, very, very tired. And I don't get to rest when it's done. I got a lot of writing to do. I have a series for Benny Rose I need to finish up. I have another issue of The Digger to finish writing. And I got to get Tokyo Fire #2 into full production, because that's the next book we're doing for Professional Entropy. And then I have a lot of little secret projects I can't talk about yet, and a lot of other books I'm pitching. So I'm a little bit more busy than I'm comfortable with, and then I owe emails to people who have been asking me to work on projects, like Taylor Comics right there in the chat. Like I owe them an email because they were asking me about a story. So good busy, but still busy, you know. How are you doing today? Are you working today, or is today an off day and you're just gonna hang out with me and watch me try to sell one more comic? I just want to get it to 80. Valentine is going to have more of a presence in issue 1. That's a good choice. I know we've talked about that a little bit, but with how much you do with Valentine in your story, I think establishing them just a little bit earlier on might be a good call. I'm not even close to do a Kickstarter. That's fair. Both a pitch and feedback. Oh, okay. So I got 2 things I owe you then. The feedback, obviously, like I'm less like worried about getting to it faster. But if you have a pitch for something to work on, like I always say, like paid work comes first. I love you guys, but like I gotta pay the bills first. So I gotta check that stuff out. But if that's the case, I definitely gotta check it a little bit faster. It was the little matchstick girl twist story, right, that we were talking about. I remember that. I worked on that a little bit already, actually. I have some stuff. So I wasn't going in blind, but I want to hear your pitch. Because maybe the thing that I was writing isn't exactly what you were looking for. That happens a lot when someone like comes to my chat or something and says, hey, what if we wrote this, this, or this? I'll start noodling on it. And then I'll get the official email, and then it's like completely different than what they were looking for, and I kind of have to reset, because I'm like, oh, I was already working on this thing and that's not at all what you wanted. That happens quite a bit, actually. I can't help when the mind starts wandering, you know. I need a bigger desk. Every time you see me like move my head, I'm trying to look around my microphone to my other screen, because I didn't set this up well. If there's people in the chat who are working on stuff, please let me know what you're working on. What are your next projects? I'm excited. I feel like I've been talking about all my stuff for so long this month, because having a campaign, I'm always trying to shill my stuff. But I want to hear what everybody else has going on. Mr. Midlife Crisis, what's going on, dude? Ultra Comics, I just saw you in there. What do you got going on? I feel like I haven't talked to you in a minute, man. You got any new comic books coming out? Like, always feel free to plug in my comments. It's never offended. Tell me about the book. I'll say it out loud. You know, most of the people that come in here also make stuff, so I don't know how good it'll do for sales, but you're always welcome to shill your projects in my comments. I love how in the Transformers comics they can still have humor and tense moments. A lot of humor in those books, and I think that speaks to Skybound. I think like what Kirkman and his team kind of look for as they curate any Skybound book. Always really good at doing that balance and act. And Daniel Warren Johnson obviously has a lot of comedy in his books, along with like the bombastic action. And so like it's not a surprise when they do it, but I think that they do it really, really well. And also like the Energon universe across the board is just, I feel like top tier. Like it feels like the pace is so fast, but I'm entertained the entire time. And the way that they do, I don't know if you've noticed if you're buying them in trades or if you're just doing the single issues. When you buy them in trades, they don't separate the issues out. Like, they don't go, okay, and then it's the next chapter. They just go right into it. Like, you might catch it because it's a page flip with a big reveal, and it feels like a new story starting up. But it almost feels like one night every time you're reading it. In any of those stories, and I think that adds to it. Like, that levity just feels like a joke when like you're watching an MCU movie and it goes right into the next scene, and they go super fast. I love what they've done over there. Taylor Comics, I have one or two premises for it, but we can see what works. That's totally fair, dude. I'm totally down. Ultra Comics says no new comics, but I'm making a public domain Sinister Six. Oh, that's rad. Who's in the public domain? I know because we've already talked about it, but hit me in the comments with who's going to be in your lineup. Mr. Midlight Crisis says little webtoons for my subscribers for the practice. Heck yeah, dude. I love that. I love how far you've come. It's not surprising because you're always talking about the different things that you're working on, and I love when you do something new because I know you're going to go all in and learn it. Every time I watch one of your videos, whether it's old or new, it's like, oh, see, there's that secret skill that Mr. Midlife Crisis learned when I was sleeping. You were like, well, while I was out partying, you were studying the blade. And like, you always have something new. So when you started doing the cartoons and the webtoons, I'm like, oh yeah, this is not surprising that this looks actually good. It's like full on Adult Swim level already. And I think if I didn't know that you've been working on it for a little bit, I would be even more jealous. I definitely am jealous, but I would be even more like, just like, where the hell does he get these skills? Like, how does he do this? 6 skills. What's going on, dude? I'm trying to make everybody else talk so I don't have to talk about my books all the time. Thankfully, Mr. Fish artwork. Yeah, but like that's only a piece of it, and you know it. Like, you're doing the writing and a lot of the animating stuff. But Mr. Fish is a good shortcut to make any project look good. Like, he's drawing a book for me, and I write a couple of series for him and stuff. And one of the reasons why I love working with him is because I know it's going to be quality. Like, I know he has a certain level of professionalism. I don't have to doubt anything. I don't have to hold his hand and go, okay, maybe do this angle instead of that, or maybe we do this. It's like, no. I can hand him a script, and I know it's going to come out good. I'm making a knockoff Green Goblin, Lizard, and Mysterio, and the others are unique to the team. Oh, okay. I love that. Talk about my mech stuff. No, you talk about my mech stuff. Or you talk about your mech stuff. Pitch it in the chat. As I was reading comics, I started getting ideas like adding flashbacks to Leon and War. Heck yeah. Especially if you're introducing a new world. Like, we've talked about this before offline, but you don't want to do too much world building because people need to care about your world in order to dive into it like that. Once they're a fan already, then you can world build all day. Thank you so much for the crab. That caught me off guard. But doing a flashback every now and then, you just need to ask a question and have your audience be curious about it, because they don't know that your characters have a really cool backstory or something like that. So just giving them little hints towards it goes a long way if they're interested. I'm gonna drive though. Well, listen, like, I don't know enough about your idea yet. I have the original pitch, but I haven't been able to go back and read your script yet, so I can't give too much more insight on it. But World War II mechs. It's like, what if World War II never ended and mechs? I think the one question I had, I don't know if you ever answered it, Six Skills, was in your world you had it where like this continuous war cooled down the earth, right? Like, so like it made it colder, so there's like continuous like winter. How does that work? What are the mechanics there? Is that something I don't know about, like this continuing like engine use or something? Viltrumite Mark, too much world building. I made my settings text system. And like I like world building, and you do a lot of it. You just don't want to shove it down your readers' throats right away. You want to leave questions for them to find answers to, and leave stuff for them to wonder about as you go. Because if you just do too much world building and exposition up front, if they don't like it, they're just going to get bored. Like, you also got to give them a plot. We have around 6 different comic premises sitting in our email. Yeah, always, dude. Thank you so much for the crab again. I'm never gonna get used to like the animation stuff that happens. Like when I see it in the chat, it's like, okay, I can squint and go, what's this image? But then you'll send like a hat or something like that, and I'm like, what is happening on my screen? Did I do that? Because I'm such an old man and I don't always know what's going on. But thank you so much for the crab, dude. Yeah, particulates and smoke from constant fighting and engines. Okay, I got you, and it kind of causes that almost like nuclear winter type vibe. I get you. Miss Lucy, how's it going? I could describe the imperial tax system and multiple generals, right? Like you sit there, it's like, oh, do you do like go full Star Wars what's the word, like the prequel trilogy and just start explaining like the embargoes and the different trade routes, and it's like if you're really in, you're gonna enjoy some of that stuff. But if you're not fully invested yet, that's just gonna be a whole thing. Hey, Masusi, I think later on I might do one where we can like have a bunch of people join, but for now I'm just kind of chilling and writing some stuff in the background. But feel free to ask any questions or put stuff in the chat. Like, a lot of these people, they're just like plugging their projects that they got going on. So if you want to announce anything or toss in some of your stories, feel free. If I do the flashbacks, it'll be connected to Leon trying to save Ginzu. There you go. Astrai is my personal pet project, Empire. Follow me for my game, Alakablam. There you go. What's Astrai? Fill me in. It's based off Napoleonic Austria. Oh, okay. Dope. Honestly, like similar thoughts there with like kind of that old school war stuff. I always enjoyed that. That's all really cool. And I learn a lot from history. I'm just not as much of a history buff as I used to be. So I try not to do too many things around like going back in time with stuff, because I feel like I'm gonna get a detail wrong and upset people who do know what they're talking about. I did a lot of history lessons and like research for my new book, The Digger, coming out from Invader Comics, because it takes place in the 30s, Veracruz, Mexico. It's very Indiana Jones-ish. The whole idea is like, what if Indiana Jones hunted short rounds? So it's kind of a thriller. And I'm like, I need to do my research. I got to put the work in, because I don't want anyone to be like, they wouldn't wear those shoes, or that's not what like this culture looked like here. And I'm like, I never want to be that guy. So like, so much of it was just history. And it was a lot. It was a lot of work. Totally worth it, but it's you got to be careful with it. It's the same thing with like Tokyo Fire. A lot of what I did for this book, a lot of cultural consultants, because it's a lot of Eastern cultures that, you know, like I'm not privy to that information. I don't just know it offhand, and I want to get it right. There's a lot of languages, a lot of stuff going on, and you should put the work in if you're going to put any sort of representation that's not your own in there. So really good time, some awesome consultants on the book, but it becomes extra work, you know. The Empire is extremely expansional, as their first policy is conquer, figure out the culture later. Well, I mean, you just explained colonialism, right? Like that's how conquering works. You're building an empire. Most people aren't like, well, let's be careful as we go through it, right? Like there's no separation of military and police in the stride. Yeah, that's also more common throughout history, right? Like that makes a lot of sense. But that's interesting. Is this a like a graphic novel, or is this more of a prose story? Sometimes I miss doing prose, just because there's no barrier to entry for prose. I don't have to worry about getting pages to somebody else in that kind of way and wait for art to come through. But it just takes so much longer, in my opinion, to do. And I was always better writing comic books than I was writing prose. You're describing America. Hey, be careful. Exactly. Real quick, can you give me a random color? Yes, orange. It's a whole world I'm making for D&D. Ah, I love that. I do a lot of world building for D&D. And I play a lot of D&D as well. Well, you know what? I can't say play. Played a lot of D&D. These days, no time. Just writing stuff, man. Like in Australia, military officers do court. Oh, yeah. There you go. That makes sense. Of course, Ultra. I hope it helped. Rod, what's going on, dude? That nerdy Papa Bear is in the chat. Please go check out Colonel Jefferson. Oh, thank you so much for the roses, dude. They just keep coming. I can't count that high. Next time you like stop at 4, because that's about as far as I can go. Thank you so much. I do comic books. I don't do math. My name's T.S. and I don't do math. It's technically a monarchy, but does this start to sound like a dictatorship? Yeah, exactly, right? Like, different. What's the difference between an empire and a kingdom? They just have more kingdoms. Did you like Honor Among Thieves? Are you talking about the D&D movie? Like Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves? Yes, I did enjoy that one. Quite a bit, actually. I was pleasantly surprised. I was ready to be pretty disappointed. And listen, I was ready to be disappointed, but also the campy part of my brain. I loved the old Dungeons & Dragons movie. See you later. I have to pretend I'm busy. That's totally fair, dude. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you so much for the gifts and the crabs. Mr. Midlife Crisis gave me crabs. Make sure you tell everybody. I'm going to tell everybody that he did that now. Like a straw keeps one general around just because of how brutal he is in Fear Tactic. Yeah, like watching Invincible, you think of like Conquest, but everyone is scared of him, even the Empress. I love all that stuff. One of the things I love about world building with D&D is like the instant gratification of like seeing people at your table getting the lore. It reminds me of like doing theater, right? Like you can write a script and you can build out a TV show or get a comic book going, but when you're performing it live and you immediately get that live reaction, it's the same reason why I love doing stand up, right? Like it's like people laughing at your joke right away. You don't have to wait for it. You don't have to get a like on it. Like you can see if it works right then and there. D&D's the same way. You get active feedback on this lore that you're building, whether it works or not, you know, because they tell you right there. And you can see them dig into it in a way that if you hand them one of your stories in like a comic book, unless someone really enjoys it and comes and tells me, I don't know if they're digging the lore. They buy the next book. That's how I guess I find out. But I don't know which part of it they actually really like. But when I'm at the D&D table, I can see people go, okay, hold on. If this king did this, then maybe that means I see them taking notes and then they're asking me questions about the lore in character, out of character. I love that stuff, dude. I love how instant it is. It just takes so much time as an adult to get a campaign going. And then there is his daughter that tries her best, even though she knows dad does not like her. Man, you just describing being a kid. It's rough out there. I am officially all signed up also for a Tulip City Toy Fair. If you're in Michigan, the weekend of April 13th, I think that's the day, April 13th. I will be tabling at Tulip City Toy Fair with Mr. Fish Comics and Alicia Bailey, Mr. Fish's son. And we're all going to be tabling over there with lots of different comic books. I'll be representing Professional Entropy and a few other places, so go and check that out. The general comes from Conquered Empire. He used to be a king. Now he's just a general. Yeah. And like that's how empires go, right? And that's also how they fall too. Yeah, you'll see it's like the idea of leaving mercy. It's like you wipe out most of the line when an empire takes over and you install a different person in line. Keeping one alive usually is a bad idea because they might want to try to get their kingdom back, right? How do you get invited to cons? I don't know how you get invited. I haven't been invited to many cons. I've been invited to two, but it's kind of like I put my name into a hat saying I would do a panel. I'd make this book, and then they reached out, and then I have friends at some cons who are like, hey, you should talk to TS. He's trying to table. Reach out to him. For the most part, I don't like get famous. Usually what you do is you go and sign up for cons. So like you do the research, you go and find out what's local. You find somebody in your area who's done way more cons than you, like I did. Like I talked to Yusuf, Yuhu Comic Review, and a bunch of other people, including Sean Peacock of All Sorrows. He does a couple different comic books like Danger Boy, which is live on Kickstarter right now. And they've been to a lot of cons. I said, hey, can you give me the list of ones you've gone to or ones you think I should be attending? And so and then you go to their websites and you go sign up, basically. And usually it's sign up, you're on a wait list. Like I signed up for Motor City Comic Con. It's like $400-$500 to table, and you're on a wait list. Like I might not be able to table there because they might not give me permission to do it, even though I have the money and I've signed up. It's just how it goes. And it's not usually a first come first served basis. Usually what it is on those bigger shows is like, do they want to give you a spot? Are you cool enough? Do they like the cut of your jib? Did you put out enough books this year? That kind of thing. Mr. Fish needs to read my stories to see if he wants to hire me. Yeah. Listen, and like I do a lot of trades with Fish. Love that dude. So it's like I'll write something for him, he'll draw something for me, and then I do a lot of editing for him, which is the other thing. So like I don't quite know like where he's at when it comes to hiring people, but don't wait for it. Put out your own projects so people want to do more with you. Don't wait for someone to hire you, especially in comic books, because that day might not come. There's so little money in it. The second you go, well, I have to hire a person, that's already a barrier of entry that's going to slow you down. Just finished my Electro concept for the Sinister Six, so thank you for the color. Oh, heck yeah, dude. I can't wait to see it. Orange is my favorite color, hence the hat. So I was leaning into it, and I was like, well, if I get to see a character from Esteban in orange, I win. So before the Empire, their society was at the Bronze Age. Oh, nice. It's a ton of luck. Start talking to people. Yeah, like you do. You just got to keep chatting with people. And like I said, like the odds of you getting invited are kind of low. But most of them have open submissions and open signups, and you just go and do it and have the money to support it. It gets pricey, like I said, like tabling at them. But like I just signed up for a Tulip City Toy Fair, right? It's a smaller con. I don't know what their attendance is, but because I never heard of it, so I can't imagine it's going to be thousands of people. And it's a toy fair, so it's more about like collectibles and stuff. But it was only $40 for the table. That means I only have to sell 10 books. If I can sell 10 books, well, that's not true because I charge less now. But still, 10 books would still get me enough of a recoupment for me to make it worth it, plus gas, I suppose. But if I can sell 10 books, then I'm open and free, and I've made my money back, and it's worth it. So just keep that in mind if you try to go. The general doesn't fight the Empress because she's the only one to ever beat him. And Fish Got Lucky. Does the Stray sound like a good place to live? No, it doesn't, but it also doesn't sound completely unfamiliar. Luckily, I haven't done anything rash, like quit my job to do art full time. Listen, Six Scale, don't call me out like that. I've talked about how it was a mistake, and I will tell you right now, do not quit your day job to go start the new career. Use the day job to fund the new career, right? Especially if you want to work in the arts. So many arts cost a lot of money. Writing might be free, right? You can sit down and write your ideas on a piece of paper and a pen. Once you buy the piece of paper and pen, you're golden. But trying to get the word out there about your stuff is often expensive. And if you want to do comic books especially, not prose, comic books are a pricey endeavor. Like, they cost a lot of money to create. Art alone, from an artist who isn't well known yet, you're looking at $3,000, I think, on the minimum. Plus getting it lettered, etc. There's so much to it. It is not a cheap thing to do. One idea I have had is to post TikTok journal entries from my character's perspective and follow. Yeah, that's not a bad way to do it. And if people will start to vibe with your character, they're going to start to vibe with your story. And then it starts to be drumming up interest. And that's what you have to do if you want to work in the arts. You have to be on social media. You have to be talking about this stuff because nobody... It's like Bane, right? Nobody cared who I was, until you put on the mask. Until you get on, like, Instagram and TikTok and start talking about these things. The odds of you getting hired just without a presence are so slim. Unless you know somebody. And even then, you gotta show that you're doing the thing. My game has already cost me thousands. Man, it's so rough. Licensing alone. And that doesn't include all of the skills and stuff that you have to train for and assets to purchase. Like just having the proprietary software for that stuff. And not even proprietary, right? You can license stuff like Unreal. But so much of the development that goes into it. And that doesn't even include like the time that you put in, right? That's just the actual cost out of your wallet. How many hours have you spent working on the game instead of doing something else that earns you money, right? Like, it's an expensive endeavor to do, but I don't know many people who get into the arts just hoping to get rich and still do it well. It's mostly passion. You gotta love it. A good artist will cost you. It's true. They are. Making comics do be expensive. And that's about, like, don't you write and draw your own comics? And it's still expensive for you to do it, right? We talked about the software. Software costs you money. I don't know what you use. I use Clip Studio. But, like, getting a book printed is expensive. Marketing is expensive. The most expensive for pros is editing and audiobooks. That's true. And if you have a good enough voice, if you're good enough at training, you can do your own audiobooks. But still not cheap to do most art. Like, not in capitalism. Yeah, there you go. I use Procreate on my iPad. I like Procreate a lot. I just, because can work better on a computer, and I love my Wacom. I have a Wacom Cintiq, and like that's what I prefer to use, and I can do a lot more stuff with Clip. Procreate I like, but the second you need more layers, you start to run into a little bit of a hurdle. I feel like when the ball gets rolling for me, it starts getting easier. Yeah, like once you start to build up the momentum in any skill or trade, once you start to see your progress, actually, like there's a mental block that comes off. And it doesn't have to be a trade, it's any skill, right? Like if you're gonna learn how to do yo-yo tricks, right? You're learning how to do the yo-yo that doesn't just come right back up. I use that as an example because I love yo-yos. You can learn the basis for so many tricks, and then once that feeds into the next trick and you can see your progress, it's like, oh wow, this hasn't been a waste of time. Like I also skateboard, or I guess I used to when I was a little bit younger, a few pounds lighter, and learning how to ollie, and then learning how to kickflip from an ollie and land back on the board and be able to like do a string of a combo like you're playing a video game is one of the most fulfilling things that I've ever done in my entire life, because you see the full progress of all the things that you've been practicing and doing, and you get the immediate payoff, and that's so magical. And that's why I tell people, like, the momentum is so real when it comes to doing these things. Finish a project. You'll know instantly if it's for you or not if you just finish your book. Make one comic book and you'll know if you want to do it again. Just I feel bad if you do want to do it again, because it becomes your life. It is all consuming. I use IBX Paint. I haven't heard of IBX. Well, for audio, you have to learn cadence when recording, plus editing, mixing, mastering. Very, very true. Plus, again, we talk about software costs, right? Martin, what's going on? I'm in the loop of that art doesn't look good. I'm going to do it later. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, like, you can't do that. Like, the annoying part and the more frustrating part is you need to go, that art doesn't look good. I have to learn how to do it better. And you just keep practicing. You draw your hands 1,000 times until you're good at drawing hands, right? You got to look at how awful it is. Same with like writing, right? You have to read that awful dialogue every single time until it starts to get better. You have to be willing to look into the abyss, right? Because narration, audio engineering is different jobs. Totally is. You have to learn so many different skills, too, to do a lot of these. Unfortunately, I can't voice out my guy because I have one voice tone. Yeah, but that's, again, that's a skill that you can learn. You know, you can keep practicing and do that stuff. The second you say, I can't, instead of I haven't, you're kind of, I know it's dumb and it's preachy, but like, you're boxing yourself in. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. Saying, I cannot do this thing, you have to know that that's different than I haven't, or I haven't learned to yet. Like, be careful when you, like, say that you can't do something, because you might be wrong. Plus the pain you put your arm through in drawing. God knows how many panels and characters. Yes, oh man, like the strain that goes into it. It's a marathon a lot of times. I struggle with drawing ears and noses and people and places and things, so I struggle with drawing. Yeah, struggling with like, listen, I'm not naturally good at drawing either, and I'm able to get work now with my drawing because I was willing to practice it over and over and over again. But it's worth it. Arth, what's going on, dude? Bug Boy, thank you so much for the heart. I can't never did do anything. Yeah. I also did a reading of my first book. Oh, that's so rad, dude. I've never been invited to do anything like my prose. I don't think we're ever up to snuff to a point where I could do something like that. And you just don't do live readings of comic books, so I don't think that'll ever be a thing that I get to experience. So I am a little bit jealous of you in that way. But also, I'm like, I don't know if I want that that type of pressure. Like, speaking like this is different. Like, I used to be in bands, and I was a singer. I played guitar. I played trombone. And when I would go on stage, I get a little bit of stage fright. I didn't, not so much for comedy stuff. I used to do stand-up, and that didn't bother me as much. But when I was in bands and I would be singing, I would wear sunglasses like I was a cool guy. Really what it was like I was afraid of seeing the crowd. So I would wear sunglasses so people couldn't see that my eyes were closed the entire time. And I feel like I would have to do that if I was doing a reading of any of my stories. Like, I can't even be mad at the Invincible animators. Oh, I love the Invincible animation. If my setting did get big, I'm kind of scared of that because it's my baby. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know, like, the good thing that, like, I don't get worried about stuff like that, and maybe this is just me being too humble or like being afraid of it. Is like the way that I look at it is more than likely that'll never happen, so I don't have to be worried about it. I've seen people be like, "Well, I'd want control." I'm like, I don't need to stress about that because it's probably never going to happen. One of my books was close to being optioned for a thing. It was Tokyo Fire. I was talking to an animation studio, and that still might happen. But like even then, it's a small animation studio. They're out of Michigan. The odds of them selling the pilot like thing that they were making is also slim. So it's like so many steps removed. Like I wouldn't even stress about something like that because it's unlikely no matter how good your thing is. There's so many things for them to do. So don't stress about that. Just be excited that that might be a possibility for you one day. Should I read my book over Minecraft parkour? Oh, for sure. That'll do numbers here on TikTok. Just make sure you do it like and you make your voice sound like an AI voice, and then it'll do really well. Oh, thank you so much for the gift, Bug Boy. Was it Woodland Wonder? Let me zoom in. Is it? Oh, it's like a little deer. Thank you so much. You see my old guy like have to like zoom in. Do you think Astrai has potential as an interesting setting? All right, so Viltrumite Mark, I'm going to be honest with you here. So like the way that I would say it is, number one, any idea has the potential for an interesting setting. It's all in the execution and what you do with it. Depends on which medium. You're talking about a video game, D&D, doing a book, doing a comic book, right? It's all in the execution of it. Bad ideas make interesting settings, okay? Good ideas make interesting settings. I'm on the record saying that a lot of my books are bad ideas. So, like, that's just how it goes. It's all in what you do with it. So I can't tell you if it makes an interesting setting or not. I will tell you I wasn't bored hearing about it. It's subjective, right? Other people might have been bored. I like world building stuff. I love D&D. I was interested in what you were saying. Should I design some rival countries? Yes. If you're going to do that, if the appeal of your world is world building, you need to build a world. You don't build one section of it and call it good. You build one section first. Keep going. Keep adding to it. Leave gaps so you can add stuff later on too. And like when people give you a better idea, make sure there's room for that idea. But yeah, keep going. If that's the thing that is going to be the pull for your audience, whether it's your table or it's like an audience here on TikTok, if it's going to be world building and you're not giving them just like a whole plot, keep world building. Don't let it die on the vine. Homie, that's so dope about Tokyo Fire getting animated. If I have the money, we will do it. You're the second person to say this in 2 days. Say what? What was I saying? Six Skills, and thank you so much. We'll see if it ever comes to fruition, right? Like that's part of it too in the indie space is like everyone's trying to do something. A lot of these projects will never see the light of day. I've been honest with you, like I have hundreds of books that are completed that you'll probably never see if I can't find a publisher for them because I can't afford to put out that many myself. So same thing with like working with another studio where I have even less control of it. It's like, well, if we end up striking a deal and they end up making the animation and they end up selling that animation to a bigger studio and that bigger studio decides to do something with it, it's like there's so many steps between getting the thing made and somebody seeing it, you know? Astrai is the Great Britain of this world, if that says their relations. Yeah. Zell, what's going on, dude? I've been trying to draw a simple map with each story chapter I write, adding on as I go. Oh, I love that. That's really, really cool. And, like, eventually, if you do that, like, you can use those as the chapter covers, right? Like, if you get to, like, a trade, that's something that I do. I do a lot of artwork for the stuff that won't come out until the trade, so, like, I can use them to separate it inside the book to keep the page turns intact. I love a good, like, chapter page. You know, like, just a splash page that says Chapter 2. Like, it just looks so cool. One of the things in the Digger, we open up with kind of like the Indiana Jones traveling map in the background. That's a double page splash in each chapter, and that's probably the coolest thing in that book. It's not pretty, but gives visuals for me to follow. Totally, and there's time to make it prettier later on. What about Amazon Print on Demand? For like cost of printing? What are we talking about here? About executing your project. Oh, thanks, man. Like that's how it goes. It takes a lot to get there. Don't worry, the royalty has the ridiculously long names. They always do, and you got like, especially if you're writing fantasy, you gotta have long names that you can't pronounce out loud, and you gotta add a lot of useless apostrophes. KDP is very limited. KDP is very limited. Like I did it for here. Here's a good example. So here is Tokyo Fire, right? I printed this with Kablam. Here is Hellion and Bash. I printed with Color Vision. Here is Growing Up. This was the first comic book I did. I didn't know where to talk to people. I did it with KDP, and KDP is very limited. You can't do comic books with them really. So this has normal bookbinding. You can't add certain pages to it to make the page turns work. So my page slips are all off. Like it's just KDP is meant for books first and foremost. It's not the worst way to do it if you just want to start getting drop shipping copies going and you want them on there. It's not the best pricing. In fact, their pricing's gotten pretty bad lately in the last few years. But if you have a prose story and you want to get it out there, or like a children's book is another good thing that they do, KDP is an option, right? So don't like count them out. The Empress is Josephine, Mistress of the Manor Lady, General Lady of the Eagles, the 3D. Tears of Rain is on KDP. Heck yeah, dude. Like using Amazon to print and publish your books. Also, I meant the Kaneki team in person. Oh, heck yeah. Amazon is KDP, yep. That's not even counting her noble titles. Have you read any Invincible? I have read all 144 issues of Invincible, all of the tie-in stuff, several worlds that just touch it for fun. I'm a big Invincible fan. One of the first comic books I really fell in love with when I was younger. It came out when I was in like 3rd grade. Probably shouldn't have been reading some of the stuff that I was at the time, but I was. But I love Invincible. Love the show as well. Great adaptation. Definitely different. Really excited for season 4. They're doing an all-new season that isn't from the books, but I'm a big Invincible fan. I have a signed copy of issue number 3, mint condition. That's one of the few. I don't collect a lot of comic books these days, but one of my really close friends got it for me a few years ago, and it's one of like my prize pieces. You legit have to wait there 10 minutes for her name to be done. I love that joke. That's a good one. This is not a joke. This is a canon fact. Yeah, but like it's a canon fact that is also funny, right? Like those jokes are good. We use Ingram for our prose books so they can be wide. Can't get that very well through KDP. Yeah, like KDP is really limited. The positive part of KDP is if you can get people to go to your link on Amazon, you can go to a lot of different markets and you can control all your pricing, and it is drop shipping, right? So you don't have to pay a large quantity for your books to be printed up front in hopes that you sell those. So I always recommend KDP if you're just getting started, you just want to see your book in print, you want to be able to sell a few copies to your friends, or to even have one for yourself as a vanity cover, right? Like, you can do that through KDP relatively simply, right? You just build the PDF and you submit it in there. So it serves that purpose. Once you get to larger numbers, period, it becomes not worth it, both financially and what you can offer your audience for types of books. But if you're not dealing with thousands of customers, it's not a bad thing to look into, and it's definitely worth it if what you're doing is prose or children's books. The second you go into comic books or something like that, it's difficult to manage, and you're not going to run into the same options that what you're going to want for your audience. You can do some versions of it with like a trade paperback, like a graphic novel, but Ingram is a good one to look into. And then like there's so many other just legitimate printing companies that do scale pricing, slide pricing, and are willing to just cut you a break because you're new. Part-Time Comics, thank you, dude. I see you over on Instagram. Live and looking to thrive. Exactly. Hellion and Bash number 2 is live on Kickstarter for like a few more hours, so I just thought I would come on here and shoot the crap for a little while, see if I can get us to 80 backers. We're at 79 right now. We just need one more. We use Ingram for our prose books so they can be wide. Oh yeah, we already read that one. The longer the family exists, the longer the names. So imagine 200 years in the future for the family. And like, I love that idea when it comes to like royal families and fantasy, that you can like carry out something like that, because there's so many weird traditions. Like when you look at the titles of royals, just from our world, right? So many weird, antiquated things that nobody understands, but it's just a part of it. It's like that bureaucracy part. And that's something really interesting to consider that you can have fun with in a fantasy world. Ingram's Spark is so much better. Yeah. The Empire has an inheritance crisis going on because the Emperor's has 20 adopted children. That's a lot. Interesting to see like an emperor with adopted children. That's an interesting thing that you don't see a ton in fantasy. I like that. Have you ever used the Hellion art for your backers? Oh no, are you talking about the art print that you did up for me? No, I haven't yet. It's kind of like a little secret thing that I have right now is when I put out that call for art prints, I got so many, and I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. I didn't hit a lot of stretch goals for campaign 2. Partly because I think we came out too fast, and also it's a superhero book. It's not necessarily hitting the same way that some of my books have done in the past. And working with the publisher, we set a loftier goal to start off with. So I didn't get a chance to show off one of the stretch goals, which was the Esteban from Ultra Comics art print. So I still really appreciate it, and I still have it, and I want to show it off to the audience. So I'll probably message you about doing something else with it. Maybe setting it up with the publisher to just put it on the website for people to purchase and get you paid. That'd be my preference for it. And I know you did it just for fun and because we're friends and you're awesome. But I would love to see you get something from it. Like the ones that did get printed with the campaign, on the back of them, they basically an advertisement for whatever artist did it. So like Fish did this one, and on the back has all of his books, his QR code. My buddy Arth did this one, and then on the back, it's got a little advertisement for him, his QR code. And I want to do that for you too. But if it's not going along with a Kickstarter, I don't think you're going to get as much recognition from it. So at least maybe we could get you paid for them. But let's talk about it, because I love the artwork that you did, and I want to show it off to people. And I don't want to just like post it on TikTok, right? Like, that's not good enough. You deserve it, you know. How's your day? It's good. How's your day? She's infertile. That makes sense. That's why they're adopted. Yep. Variant cover? Yeah. I didn't do variant covers for Hellion and Bash #2, and I think that was a mistake because people like variant covers for Kickstarter. So the next issue will definitely have variant covers. I'm working on Tokyo Fire #2 right now, which will have several variant covers. I did several variant covers for Tokyo Fire #1, including one drawn by me and one drawn by my buddy Mar, who's a co-creator with me on another comic book that we're pitching that might get picked up soon. So we're gonna do that. So I'm open to hearing about what people want to do for variant covers. I got to be really specific and like choosy with the variant covers because I can only afford to print so many. So I have to really pick a good one that will sell and that will maybe bring a new audience to the book too. So it's a whole thing. It's a whole balancing act. So now I'm trying to figure out, once the Empress kicks the bucket, how to decide who the Emperor goes to. I mean, that's the Game of Thrones thing, right? Like that's a story right there, is what happens next. If you need more art, though, let me know. No, quit giving away your art, Esteban. It's too good. I appreciate you so much. Of course, listen, as a writer, you always need more art. That's always how it goes. However, what we need to do is also get you paid for that art, get you recognition for that art, and get you more jobs. That was the whole point of the art print thing. So I will not be taking any more art from you until I can get you something for it, because you're awesome, and I want to see you working more. I want to see you getting more recognition. Got my comment filtered. What did you say, Six Skills? Keep it PG in my chat. I was wondering where you went. The shattering of an empire that conquered the world between individual warlords, each with a claim. I like it. Yeah, exactly. Like that was half of the fun of Game of Thrones. People also forget that the original Game of Thrones was a murder mystery, right? Like there was the whole mystery of like who did the deed and like trying to find them and what Ned was looking into. So it was more of a mystery than anything else originally. But as that series progresses, half the fun is the drama of, ooh, who's going to sit on the Iron Throne, you know? I just asked what a duke was anyway. That's a good one. You'll take my art and you will like it, mister. That's the problem, is I love it. I love your art style, and I still want to work with you on stuff. I'm sorry that I've been so busy working on other projects. I've had to put so many of the indie stuff on the back burner because, like I always say, like I'm a tool, right? I'm a dad. The second payment gets involved, I have to do that one first. I have to prioritize that. So when I got involved with these publishers and they're like, hey, we're going to pay you to do this thing. We need it by this deadline. Like, I have to focus on it, and I have so many awesome indie friends I want to keep working with. I don't want you to feel like you're on the back burner for me, because you're not. I just have to do this other stuff that sometimes I'm contractually obligated to do. Heard much on Radiant Black? I just read the first 5 issues. Dude, I love Radiant Black and all of the Massiverse. I kind of want to run out to the other room and grab my giant stack of Massiverse, but you wouldn't be able to see half of it. But yes, love Radiant Black. Kyle Higgins is the creator of that world, and not just Radiant Black, but that entire universe. And he killed it on Boom Studios Power Rangers. Love that series. Love everybody over there. Like Ryan Parrott does like Rogue Sun, which is another superhero in there. So it's still a superhero world, a lot of cool ideas, but then they filter it through a tokusatsu lens, so like Super Sentai, Power Rangers, Beetleborgs, that kind of costuming on everybody. They all have like henshin calls, and then they transform, and then their face is covered, like very Power Rangers. And I love everything that they do over there. On top of it being just some of the best superhero stories to be published in a long time. In my opinion, since Invincible, in that way, from not the big two, like non-Marvel, non-DC. So, if you're enjoying those first 5 issues, buckle up. There's so many good books in that universe. Infernal Girl Red is a favorite in my household, because I read it with my kids. Because what does each of the Empress children have a legitimate claim? Wouldn't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they wouldn't all. Like, that's the thing that happens in our world, right? Is like, well, you have a son, but also you have this cousin, and well, like the cousin is a duke, but it has more supporters, but the son is 5, but he's the rightful heir, all that stuff. That's always so much fodder for like a good D&D campaign that it can be really entertaining to see that story play out. Hello, I'll take some art, but I am broke. Let's talk. You could have been busy too. I know you have, and I've been following it. Like, how's your YouTube doing? Like, are you getting a lot of like traffic over there? Are you showing that stuff off? And like, what's your next comic book stuff that you're doing? I'm T.S. Little Match Girl doesn't have an artist. Just throwing it out there. Oh, okay. Like, that's something. Like, let's actually, Esteban. That might be something that I hit you up about. I don't know what kind of payment Taylor Comics is talking about, but potentially something there for us. Made it to 1,000+ followers. Oh, heck yeah, dude. I think my YouTube has like 50. Like, you're doing awesome. Plus, like, you're making good content. I think that, like, some of the shorts that I throw up there are just, like, remade stuff from here on TikTok, or, like, reposting. And, like, you're making legitimate content that's for the platform. I think you do a really good job with that. But if I can steal you away from that for YouTube, if we can grab this gig with Taylor Comics, maybe we can make something, at least in the short term, before we get back to some of our series. And close to monetization. Heck yeah, dude. What's the criteria for monetization over there? I don't even really know. Back in the day, you just click monetize, and it would go if you made enough views, and that would be awesome. There you go. It's something that can be discussed, and that's how it works. Now we're gonna make millions of dollars with Taylor Comics, because Taylor Comics is gigantic and they have a gigantic following, right, Ty? That's how it goes. That's what you're promising us, right? What's our advance? We're talking $2, $3 grand, $5 grand, $20 grand. Stop me when I get close. 1,000 followers and 3,000 watch hours. That's lofty. Like, what does that hit for monetization? Like, does that just make it monetizable? Like, what's the conversion there? If you make millions, then you got to publish my game. If I make millions, I'm going to pay my rent. I'm going to buy a piece of land so I never have to pay rent again. Good quest. You let me know. Good question. Yeah, I figured. But Ty, we'll talk about it. I'm just picking on you. Listen, not trying to talk me and Esteban out of a paycheck, but we do a lot of stuff for free already. So it's like, if there is a check involved, like, you're already speaking a language that we're not used to out the gate. So it's like, you have our attention. Like, there's a reason why we still have to do other gigs, and we don't just make comic books full-time. Although I do make comic books full-time, but I have to do a lot of other stuff to make sure rent gets paid. So it's where, like, a lot of the ghostwriting stuff comes into play. I don't talk about it much on here because I don't like doing it, if I'm completely honest. It's one of those things where it's like, well, it's a check, so I do it, but I hate that I can't talk about it. I hate that it doesn't, like, build my career at all. And I don't get asked to write cool stuff, like, when it comes to the ghostwriting. Like, I did basically like an essay for this one office, and I'm like, this is awful. Like, why is this one? It reminded me of when I was doing, like, tech writing for car parts. Have you played Fallout New Vegas? Yeah, I love Fallout New Vegas. Do you think maybe the general should try to take the throne as well? I think that's something that you consider for any story like that, is who wouldn't want to take a throne, right? Like, when you have an empire, and it's like imperial rule where that person controls as far as the eye can see, who wouldn't want that, That was the whole like point of Ned in Game of Thrones, is he's the one guy who should rule and who doesn't want it, right? You know, you get the Jon Snow, I don't want it, like that whole thing. Like that's what made them interesting. So there's not many people who wouldn't go for something like that. Would you consider being paid to co-write rather than ghostwrite? Totally. I would do that. I will say, like, it's not my preference. I prefer to like get direction and then just write something myself. But I'd be willing to co-write with somebody, if, especially if it was paid, right? Like, not to like make it all about money, but because co-writing isn't my preference, I wouldn't do it for free. That's not the thing that's necessarily fun for me, unless like some of my friends I do it with, right? But I would be willing to consider it for payment. And it depends on like how much of a co-writing thing it is. Like a lot of times it starts as a co-writing thing because someone doesn't know how to do a comic book script, and it ends with just me being hired to do the script that they want me to write, right? Or it's like, hey, I have this idea for this series, but I don't know how to write a script. I don't like really write, but I want it to hit these 5 points, and then I go and write the script, and they get a story by credit, I get written by credit, and I get paid. I just did that for Benny Rose right here on TikTok, a series that's called Dreams of Arcadia. And like Benny had this comic book idea, and he's a writer, but he doesn't write comic books. So he said, hey, I want these things to happen. And I say, awesome, let's change this and this, and it would be better if I did this, and here's your script. And like that worked out really well. Tears of Rain, go check it out. It's on Amazon. The General is inspired of a mix of Caesar and Lake Atlantis. I don't know that one. Hey man, it's Victoria. Oh, hey, did you get a new account? Or did you switch over, or is this like your like businessy account? What's going on? Lanius, got it. I'm currently editing my video for tomorrow. Give us a preview. What's the video for tomorrow? Ned couldn't get ahead in life. See, that's the thing. Ned could get ahead in life. Ned went very, very far, but he was too honorable, and you're not in an honorable land. That's the whole point of his character. He's a good man in a bad system. I did, yeah. I was tired of the drama with the old one. Drama? No drama here. Thank you so much for the heart. Thanks, dude. Not ahead, but be ahead. Right, exactly. Public domain sisters. Oh, like that's what the video is going to be about? It's going to be about that new tune? That's awesome. Thank you so much for the gifts, Victoria. I love those little dinos. They're so adorable. I get so distracted with them. Like, I know you're supposed to thank people, and, like, people love that. But, like, I really do get distracted. I got a crab earlier, and I was like, what's happening? Is this crab, like, crawled across my head? Like, it set me over for, like, 5 minutes. But thank you so much. I'll make a comic book entirely out of stock photos, and you cannot stop me. I mean, you could do that, like, if you don't want to go it, but, like, you could also use those stock photos as reference and start practicing your drawing and build something really cool from there. The first book that I ever did, it doesn't look good. I did it as a webtoon. I think it's still up on my website. It's called D and Do This, and you can tell it's really rough. It kind of looks like a bad version of what you would see in, like, a newspaper, like like webtoon style. Like really rudimentary, like Garfield type thing. And it didn't look great. I used a lot of reference to learn how to draw, but then the second one I did looked better, and the third, and as I went, and then like now, because I kept practicing at it, I get work on it, you know? Much better at writing, but like it's worth doing it. All right, thanks for hanging out, dude. But I really appreciate you, and thank you so much for the gifts. Oh, Sexy Hills, thank you so much for the corgi. Is that what that was? And like I said, like, don't be afraid to think out of the box with that stuff. Just stay away from the AI. It's not worth it, and you're gonna get blacklisted doing that stuff. So like doing something like stock photos. There's some really cool comic books that use like claymation, right? Like, it's not, you know, animated, but they'll use clay, they'll shape it, and they'll take a picture of it. And there's been whole comic books like that look really rad. Oh, thank you so much, dude. What was that? Was that like a pumpkin? Skull apple. I clicked on it. It told me. Thank you, dude. I just think it would be funny if a comic book was really emotional, but it was made in Photoshop. It might be. And that could be just like the whole joke. It really depends on what your goal is, right? Like, and what you're trying to do. With something like that. But most comic books are made in Photoshop, though. Like, you're saying Photoshop in the way of like, oh, like you took a picture in there and edited it. But Photoshop is a great editing service that you put together a lot of final products for comic books, anyways. Not to get super pedantic on you, but it's a funny joke. But if you're already writing something emotional and you already have the stock photos, why not go a step further and start drawing it and just like make it a serious thing? You're so close, and I feel like sometimes like you'll make something a joke because you don't think that you can pull off the serious version, but why not try, you know? Not to go full dad on you. I know I just gave you a full lecture. I apologize. My kids are at school. I have nobody else to lecture. But I know just like in my past, when I talk about making books, the first series I ever did um, it was just like that webcomic, right? And it was just comedy. It was just jokes about my D&D table. A lot of people throwing dice is like the punchline. And I had some funny jokes in there, and it was a good time making it. But I made that because I was afraid to try making an actual comic book. I was like, I'm not going to get there. This is my shortcut. I can just do this thing. I'd been talking about a lot of these jokes forever. And then I made D and do this, and like it worked out better. Lula and Ronnie? Oh, I haven't heard Lula and Ronnie mentioned for a while. That was the next webtoon I did. I actually worked on that with my wife, Lula and Ronnie. And Taylor, I can say this here. So my friend Alice, she's an amazing artist out of Italy. She's working on the graphic novel of The Adventures of Lula and Ronnie, Fort Wars, and it's going to be a kid's graphic novel, all ages. And we have a couple of publishers interested, so I'm bringing that back, that old webtoon I used to do. So it'll be back. I did like a little Sunday comics run up, and it was about these two little girls hanging out in rural Michigan. And did you go and check out all my old stuff? Like, I haven't heard anyone ever mention Lula and Ronnie to me. That's wild. I enjoy your lives a lot. But they motivate me to write, so I think I should do it while the drive is there. Yeah, totally, dude. No offense taken. Go write. Go do the thing. You don't have to sit here and listen to me yap. Go make the thing. I love that it does that. I'm so happy to help, man. Also, I went looking for D and do this and saw it. Oh, okay. Yeah, like they're both funny. Like they have little bits, but what I wanted to do more than just those little bits was start to tell a story. And that's really what I wanted to do. I was just kind of afraid to do it seriously at first, so I started with those webtoons, and I think it was good. I learned a lot from doing those first and practicing those and learning what went into a panel and, you know, just sitting down and actually finishing something. Doing a one-page, you know, webtoon or one-page, like, Sunday comic lineup thing was great practice to build up that momentum like I was talking about earlier, and to just slowly start to build up the confidence to create that. So I did those first and eventually worked my way up to my first anthology that I did growing up. And that was also to build up stuff because it wasn't one full story necessarily. It was lots of little stories. That's what an anthology is. So I could do these short stories, and then eventually it added up to a full issue, printed that, and then I started making the full comic book scripts. But it's all practice. I love this though still. Like, this will always be like a treasure to me that I made this. I love this thing. And I've made a lot of stuff that's probably just objectively better since then, but it's always going to be special to me, just like those webtoons. Like, I left them there, not necessarily for other people to read. I don't think it's even helpful. I've written so many better things since then, but just to show myself how far I've come, you know? So go right now. Right? That's, like I was on the My Primos podcast yesterday with John Avina and Kevin Garcia, and we were talking about like the advice we give to people when they ask us stuff, and how like I'm much nicer than John Avina is. When people ask John Avina what to do to like get into comics, and he's like, just go make them. Goodbye. Click. And like I do say that too, but also like I'm super happy to talk about the process and what goes into it. But that really is, at the end of the day, that's the advice, is just to go do it. Because no one will hire you if you're not already doing it. And I know that's backwards. It's the like, how do you get experience without getting the job first to get that experience? And luckily with art is you can go make it yourself. It's not cheap. It's not easy. In fact, it's quite expensive and very, very hard. But it's what you have to do to get a job doing it. Like, no one's going to pay you to do it without showing that you're willing to put your blood, sweat, and tears into it first. And I know, like, I get told that's unfair a lot, and like, yeah, it is unfair, and that it just is. Like that's the end. That there's no other answer. Like, because it's unfair doesn't mean that there's a different way around it. It just is unfair. That's what you have to do. And there are other shortcuts, I'm sure, but I don't know them. The only way I know how to like break into comics is to make comic books. I'm just new to scripting, and I want to make sure I'm doing it right. Here's the thing, Six Skills, like, I don't know if there is a right or wrong. In fact, you know what, I'm gonna tell you, like there is no right and wrong. If it works, it's right. And you're scripting, so your audience is never gonna see that script. Right, to me, is did the artist understand what I was asking them to draw? Did the letterer understand what I wanted them to letter? Then it's right. Perfect, done, dusted, it made the comic book. That's what's right. So don't stress too much on that. Get the story out on the page, get better at conveying your message to your team, and you've got a good script. Unfair and difficult. Exactly. Thomas from Fake Comics knows exactly that, dude. Like, it's unfair, it's expensive, it's hard, and that's why I tell people, I'm like, don't do it unless you love it. A lot of people message me with an idea for a comic book, and they don't love comics. And it kind of baffles me, you know, where it's like, it's no offense taken. Like, if you're going to get into it, do it, man. It's your money. It's your time. Like, go for it if you want to. But it's always surprising to me that you want to make comics and you don't read comics or you don't love comics on that level, because it's so hard to do. Why would you do it if you don't love it? There's no money in it. Like, zero money in it. Scripting, just start with the basic of even number of pages, 5 panels each, no heavy letters. Exactly. Break it down into like those panels. You know, I always start with a blank page, and I split it into at least 3 panels if I want, like, just like what's the word I'm looking for? But like versions of 3. So it's like 3 panels if there's only a little bit of action, 6 panels if there's a lot of action, 9 panels if I want to just go by beat, like almost like a storyboard, Tom King style or Watchmen style, you know, like, oh, so I'm doing it right. Exactly. Like, written, it's like, oh, you talk about like fed kids are happy kids, right? Like, it doesn't matter, like, when you have little babies, like, just get them fed. That's what's most important. Then you can stress about what you're feeding them with it and stuff. But usually if you have kids, that's what's most important when you talk to a doctor. And it's the same thing, like, written stories are best stories. You know, don't worry about the format stuff till later. That's the hurdle. That's getting in your way of making the book. It's an excuse. Like, well, I don't want to work on that next page until this one looks perfect. That's silly. That's going to slow you down. That's an excuse to not write your story. Go write it and then make it look good afterwards. You don't have to, like, making it look good is for a second draft, for a third draft. When you have to hand it to somebody else, that's when you need to make it look good. Can't edit a blank page, exactly. And you don't need to. Don't stress about that. Also can grab script books. There are hundreds out there. There are hundreds. And go grab examples of writers that you like from comic books that you really dig. And learn from them. That's what I did. I studied a lot of Matt Fraction scripts. I really a similar scripting style because of that, because that's where I learned what like a script could look like. I hate saying like should look like, because it can look like whatever. If you just want some example scripts, Six Skills, like, feel free to hit me up. I can send you some of my scripts. I would prefer if you went and learned from somebody a little bit more professional, a little bit higher up on the food chain, just like because like you can learn from the best of the best. So like, why not do that? But yeah, look up sample scripts, look up some of those script books. Like, there are lots of good examples to learn. But again, that's secondary. Write the script first. Like, you have your story idea. Most of what you're doing with a comic book script is like describing a play. You have your stage direction, which is what you want to happen in the panel, and then you have your dialogue below that, which is what's said in the panel. It's as simple as that. Leave space for those things on the page. When you have a bigger moment, that's a bigger panel. When you have a bigger panel, smaller number of panels on that page. You want to give a important moment more real estate. Page flips are on even pages, so you want to leave big reveals for a page flip so you can control pacing. Rinse and repeat. You got this. Panel descriptions are telling an artist the design, not a reader. Exactly. So you don't have to stress about the words. Like, when you write a prose story, which I know you have to worry about the words that you use specifically, because someone has to be entertained by every word in a sentence to get to the end of it. Your artist can be entertained, but doesn't necessarily have to be. They just have to understand what you're trying to convey so they know what to draw. Don't love when random stuff gets filtered. Yeah, I'm sorry that happens. I want stuff from you because vibes. Listen, and like that's partly why I sell all my scripts from all my stuff. It's because a lot of people go, well, how do I do this like you do it? And I'm like, well, you can learn it better than when I do it. You can learn it from the best if you want to. But if you really want to see how I do it specifically, I make that available for that reason. Like, I have a Marvel Civil War script book. It's amazing to have. Heck yeah, dude. I have the same one. Definitely worth checking out. Matt Fraction used to publish a ton of his scripts from his older stuff. Again, that's where I learned. I used to recommend Neil Gaiman scripts. That's definitely, problematic in a lot of different ways, but his stuff was available. A lot of writers in comic books, especially ones that have made it big, have a lot of scripts available. Not every single one, but a lot of them. And the cool thing that you can do if you go and check out a script from someone big, or like something like the Civil War script book, is you can go and check out the script and look what the final version of it ended up being and do that comparison. So you can kind of see how they described it to the artist and then how the artist, finished that work. Neil Gaiman broke my dang heart. Yeah, dude, same. But yeah, so like I do recommend you looking up that if you really want it to look good, but you don't have to start there. That doesn't have to be where you necessarily start your script. That becomes the secondary thing. And always like consider when something is pulling you away from doing the actual work of writing, ask yourself, does this need to be done right now, or am I using it as an excuse to not do the writing? Ricardo, what's going on, dude? Fake Comics. A good artist will see your vision and usually make it 100 times better. Exactly. I've been blessed with like the people that I've gotten to team up with, and like it's always better than what I could have pulled off on my own. Not just because of my skill as an artist, but because of their skills as a storyteller on top of their skills as an artist. And they always have something amazing to add. And like that's what you want out of a collaborator, anyways. And that is a lot of the art form of your script. Like coming up with a story, to me. And I know it's not easy for everybody. That part's easy for me. It's conveying it to my team. And the more and more I work with people, the easier that gets. Because you build a rapport, you see what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and you learn how to work together better. And that comes with time and patience, but it's a lot of fun doing that. I always love / hate when an artist takes something I've done and makes it even better. I never hate it. I always love it. Best idea wins, right? It is sometimes frustrating because you're like, I wish I would have thought of that kind of thing. But in the end, you're working together to make the same book, right? It's a team effort. So like that makes it worth it. Thanks again for the video yesterday, man. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad that resonated with you, dude. Thank you so much for your support and everything we do. I don't want to cry again. Don't make me cry again. But like, I made that sappy video because I'm like, I just had to be honest. I didn't mean to cry up front, but like I started to tear up the second I started to think about this stuff. But like, I have to make those videos. Like, I know it's not going to be seen by people, and I know it's not good content, but I just need people to know how thankful I am. Because like, I started to get messages from people, like other indie comic book people, and they're like, listen, like, your page looks like sus, right? Like, how did you make that much money? You only have 80 backers. This book with 100 backers, my book has 200 backers, and like I'm barely hitting that. And I'm like, I am so thankful and grateful and lucky to have an amazing audience of fans and friends and supporters who want to see me do well, and they gave me money. It's as simple as that. I couldn't self-fund this book if I wanted to. That's why I had to go to Kickstarter, and you guys all supported me so well. These people find it unbelievable that I could do it. And I want you to know that I also find it unbelievable. So how can I not make a video thanking everybody and getting sappy like that? Because I couldn't do this without any of you guys. Like, even if you can't give me money, like, you come into the live, you talk to me, you comment on my videos, you follow me, like, that stuff makes it all possible. And I'm such a goober that people are like, there's no way he could do this. And I'm like, that's right. I can't. I do it because I have all of this help. My comics when I was a kid were 2x8 panels with no splash pages. Mega Mutt was dope. Heck yeah, dude. Make T.S. cry every once in a while. Don't, because I will cry. You ever thought of making manga? Oh yeah. I love manga, and I've done some manga stuff. And like that was partly the impetus for Tokyo Fire. I was showing it off before. I don't know quite where I put the book. But like Tokyo Fire was me leaning into that a little bit. And I've done some things closer to manga, and I have a few friends who are like mangakas and like doing somewhat okay now, like actually making some books. And I've thought about it. I just don't think I have the skills to draw it quickly enough, and I don't know if I have the right storytelling sensibilities for a more Eastern centric comic book. I think the closest I'm going to get is Tokyo Fire for now. And also that depends on the collaborators that I work with. I have stories for more manga style, but I just don't know if I could pull it off drawing it myself. So I would have to team up with somebody who wants to draw a manga for me. Thank you so much for the roses, Six Skills. You're the best, dude. I get to talk with my editor tomorrow with edits. I'm super excited. Dude, I'm super pumped for you. I cannot wait for that book to get off the ground and for you to be pitching it. And also because I know you haven't pitched much stuff lately. I pitch books to publishers all the time, and I don't necessarily have people to dish with because not everybody in indie comics wants to be pitching. It's a really stressful thing. So the second you get to do it, I'm like, oh no, me and Thomas get to chat now and commiserate, and hopefully you get to rub it in my face because of how fast it gets picked up. And I'm excited to be jealous of you, dude. Thank you so much for the hearts, Betty. Love you, dude. Comics writer good. Love the community. So dude, it's the best community, and not just because we're supportive and we buy books or whatever. It's because like we want to see each other succeed, and we want, like, I'm not jealous when Thomas gets a successful Kickstarter or sells a book to a publisher. Like, what that does is it gives me hope that someone like me can do it. You know, like I was talking to John Avina yesterday, and John Avina has like 50 books out, right? And he's talking to all these publishers, and like Sean Peacock from All Sorrows, working on Danger Boy, like he's got an IDW book coming out this year, or maybe next year. And like I don't know the dude that well, but like he's from Michigan, like has a similar background to me, and seeing him do that, it's like I'm so excited for him, and it gives me so much hope to see people do it, because then I know it's possible, right? Like it's so easy to get bogged down in seeing the same giant authors from all these publishers make waves and go, well, they did it, so now I can't do it. Like I have no chance. I'm never going to be like that guy. But then I see the people that are my contemporaries and my friends and my mutuals doing it successfully, and I'm like, there is still hope. And like that's priceless, you know? I won't rub it in. I'll travel to you and we'll celebrate. Heck yeah, that we can do. But also feel free to rub it in. And like, I'm never gonna be like jealous in that way. I'm so thankful that you're doing stuff, and I love seeing you succeed, dude. Like when you got that nomination, dude, I was so hyped. Like I love seeing that stuff. And again, it's so hopeful to me. It's in the selfish way. Like I get so much hope and like secondhand love from it. Like seeing you guys do well. Because I'm like, oh, maybe I can too, you know? And again, it's kind of delusion because you do stuff better than me. But there is still the like, oh, maybe I still can do it, you know? I just recently attended John Avina's webinar, and it was so sick. Oh, you were at his symposium thing? Dude, like, what did he tell you? Because he just kept telling us, like, you know, I gave some advice. Like, but he talked for 2 hours. You got a dish, so I can go and pick on him. What did he tell you to do? Also, listen to everything he has to say. That dude knows what he's talking about. And he plays it down, but he's very talented, very smart, and he's a very, very good writer, which I'm sure you know since you took the class. But I gotta know what he was talking about. Lucky I didn't have the money to buy a ticket. Giving me too much credit. No, dude, like, it really was inspiring. Like, when I first found your stuff, I was a little bit skeptical because I'm like, he has a whole universe, like he's doing too much. And then like I read Beats, I read Harrier, and then when we started talking about the books like you were making, I'm like, no, this dude is doing something that somebody else isn't in our space isn't doing. Where like you were like co-developing an entire universe and writing really well. Like your writing was so solid in a way that I was really surprised to see, just because I had just got on TikTok and I had seen some other indie stuff, and like, no, your stuff was good, and you were developing a really cool world, and you had a really good sensibility when it comes to developing as an editor too, like shaping that world, and I was just really impressed by it. So I love seeing you succeed, dude, and I like your writing, and also just from a selfish point, I'm like, I want to see more of it, so of course I'm going to egg you on, man. Oh, he is too humble, because it was an absolute fountain of knowledge. I love it. Oh, no, I'm sure he'll have even more later. Oh yeah, he's gonna do it again. I know he had a good time doing it. It'll continue, but gotta take a shot every once in a while. Exactly, and that was a big part of like the last few months for me, making these books, doing my Kickstarter obligations, going to these publishers that I have deals with, and getting books out so I can get to that trade paperback, show my work kind of thing. But now that I've done that and a lot of that's in the can, I wanted to get back to pitching, because that's what helped me get this success. Like, I took a long break from pitching because I didn't have success at first, because I didn't have my self-published stuff. And once I found some momentum with the self-published, I kind of thought maybe I won't go back to pitching for now until I'm really ready to do it. And like people like you and John Avina and a bunch of other people pushing me to pitch The Digger to Invader Comics, like my buddy Russ. Russ sent them the book. He was like, "Hey, you need to be talking to TS." And when they showed interest, that kind of re-sparked that flame in me of, I need to be talking to publishers again. That's how I got the Professional Entropy deal for Hellion and Bash and Tokyo Fire. And I want to get back to that because I have a newfound confidence and hope, but also that's how you level up. I want to get it in front of editors. I want to keep doing the thing. He had a whole outline of what he was going to discuss on the listing. Oh, yeah. There's a whole PowerPoint, and he answered like all of our questions. Dude, so that's what I mean. Like, he's humble, but he's a nice dude, and he knows what he's talking about. And he also has done so many different things. Like, he went to cooking school, he's done improv, he went to film school. The dude, like you said, he's a font of knowledge. How do you pitch? Like, how do you know what to say? Okay, I'm gonna get to that. I have a big answer for that, 6 skills. I'm glad you took my advice on the one book though. Like, I mean, listen. You were so confident. Like, you said you gave me a lot of notes, but you were so deadpan with the one with, like, you're like, no, The Digger's ready to be published. And then you went and told me a bunch of stuff about the superhero book. And I was like, that's it? It's just ready to be published? Like, you had nothing else to say because you're like, no, it's good. And, like, that gave me so much confidence, dude. So I really appreciate it. And I'm glad I took your advice, too, because it paid off in, like, a big way. But it meant a lot that you even just read it, let alone, telling me to go pitch it. 6 skills. Okay, so there's lots of different ways to pitch, right? I think sometimes when people hear pitch, they think of Hollywood. You're in the room. Okay, here's my idea, exec. For comic books, that's very rarely the case. Usually, it's going to be a place with an open submission policy, and they're going to tell you exactly what they want to see. They want to see a pitch packet, and they know what they want to see in that pitch packet. You're going to want a cover letter, usually, that summarizes the book. Then they're going to want to see preview pages, like completed pages, fully from start to finish, like colored, lettered, finished pages. They're going to want to see a cover mock-up, and then usually a summary of the arc of what you're trying to give them. Probably a mini-series, because not many people are buying ongoing series these days. And so you put that all together, and then you send it to them, and you wait. Usually, by the time you get to be in a room or be on a call with somebody, they already want the book. So there's some alleviation there. Like, what's happened with me is I pitched the book, I got in the room, they already liked it, they already wanted it, they just wanted me to tell them more about it. Tell them about myself, tell them about the story, and it's more of a conversation than a pitch in that way. I have been in the other room where you're just pitching an idea, and I will tell you that is 20% telling a good story, 80% being fun and entertaining person to talk to. And that's what it is. It's a lot of improv. It's a lot of just being able to have fun in the room, be that party guy, turn on for a little bit. So yeah. Always remember this. 99% of comic writers and artists start from nothing. Exactly, dude. Even the nepotism ones, like, you still got to be good at making the books, right? Like, you might be able to get into a conversation, be in the room, have your book walked into a place, but you still had to make a good book. How long usually is a miniseries in your opinion? It depends. I think 4 is a really good run-up for a good mini. 4 to 6. 6 is a great arc. Like, you can tell like a complete story with 6 issues, but it always depends on the story. I will say, if you're trying to pitch yourself as a mini issue, like, to a publisher, like, hey, what would you give me a chance to? You're not going to get more than 4 issues usually. Like, that's just not how it's going to go. Even if you're a name now and you go to a place like, hey, I had this really successful indie and I did a series, I got like 4 issues of The Flash over at Marvel. They're like, cool, we're gonna give you 4 issues. Good luck. Like, it's hard out there if you want to tell a long story these days. Absolutely true. I'm glad that other people feel that way. It's more similar to querying with prose books than how film, TV scripts pitches. It's exactly like that. Very rarely have I had the chance to go, okay, let me regale you and pitch you the story right now that you've never heard of. What happened with Professional Entropy, though, like when I pitched, was like, they went in wanting one story, and I talked them into another. And I think that was rare. I don't think that would ever happen anywhere else. Um, and I think a lot of times they go into the meeting knowing what they want from you, especially in comic books, because there's way less money. No one can just take a chance and just throw you a check and go make something, kid. It's just like that's not really how it works. And even when it comes to the pitch packets, every single publisher is different in what they want to see. Every single editor at that publisher is different with what they want to see. Some are really picky, some are a little bit more loosey goosey. And it's a trial and error type thing. But always try to fit the criteria that they list on the publisher page, because they'll tell you what they want to see. And when they work with anyone, they will treat you as one of them. Yep, exactly. This was a lot of fun, but I got a video to make. All right, dude, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you. Have fun. Can't wait to see the video, dude. And like that, there is a little bit of like really awesome. I see people get frustrated on the indie side when they're like, well, I can't get in because this person still gets a lot of work or whatever. And that's not really how it works. But also, like, I'm kind of glad by that, because that means if I ever did get a chance to break in that way, I won't be chewed up and spit out right away. Like, maybe I can have longevity too. So I never get frustrated like that. And once you do start to know people in the industry, they're always so kind. I've never had a pro be mean to me in any way. And maybe that's like my privilege. I look the way I am. I have a certain affectation that makes me easy to talk to. I sound like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. But I've always had people be kind. Even when they didn't want to speak, they weren't rude to me, And because the people who make comic books also usually love comics, and they love people wanting to continue to make comic books, and they're not so jaded that they don't want you to be there. Sounds so nice, honestly, dude. It really is. And I've never had more like people who do a job that's hard to get into be so willing to tell you how to do a better job at it, and like actual give you helpful advice. Like, I message a lot of pros, a lot of editors who are working in the industry, and when they do give me advice, they give me good advice. They tell me how to do it. They don't gatekeep how to get in that way. Like, even me doing what I'm doing right now. So I want to be that person for the other new comic creators once I'm up there. Exactly, you do, and they almost always are. Like, even so, when I first started, when I made that anthology growing up, and I started making these pitch packets with really good artists, professional artists, Marvel artists, and a bunch of other people who are working in the industry, I sent them to publishers, and unanimously, nobody wanted them. But some of the editors at publishers, like some big publishers, got back to me in a way that I never thought that they would, and they usually don't, but they were really kind, and they were like, listen, some of these are good, but it doesn't matter how good they are, you need to build up a following, you need to show us that you're going to do this right. More people would take your pitches seriously, no matter how good they are, if you had self-published some stuff. And like, that was actionable advice for me to take, and I knew what my next step should be after I got those no's. I knew what I should be doing. And they were really honest. They were like, no matter how good your script is, and some of these are good, none of them are amazing in that way, but some of these are good enough that we could publish them, but if you really want to get ahead, this is what you should be doing. And that paid off for me. Self-publishing Tokyo Fire got me gigs at Professional Entropy and at Invader Comic Books. And then right now what I've been doing is emailing editors going, hey, how do I do this again? How do I work with more publishers? And they've all given me really good advice. And even talking to more editors right now, I was talking to pros, and I said, hey, I now got these little publisher gigs, and I'm doing more successful stuff in the self-publishing. What should I be doing next? And they told me, start emailing editors. Start trying to build up a team with an editor on it. Start talking to editors at these places who are making books that are similar to yours that you like. Send them your stuff. Talk to editors who are open to receiving stuff. Follow them on Twitter and Blue Sky and TikTok, and start looking up editors to work with. And that was like the next level up thing. And I got that advice from pros. And they were super willing to help me do that, and willing to give me the time of day to go, okay, this is where you're at. Maybe this is what you should do next. And I just always appreciate that, because you hear a lot of gatekeeping in other industries, and I just don't see it as much in comics. I see it from some other indie guys sometimes. Some dudes who are working on like stuff at small publishers too. They're not always the kindest, or they're they're worried about you being a fraud in the industry, which is a real fear, and I understand that gatekeeping mentality. But when it comes to the people who are more successful in working for larger publishers, they've always been kind to me. I think I'm currently at the process of accruing a lot of projects, so I'm ready when the time comes. Yeah, like that's kind of where I'm at. So we're kind of in the same place. Is a lot of what I do is like try to build my resume right now, to get those gigs, and it's paying off. Like I know you're working on a couple of scripts and stuff. Are you looking at like self publishing yet? Like what's your next step right now when it comes to what you're putting out? Are you still just working on writing? Are you close to building a team for a book? Like what kind of things are you working on? Partly just like I'm selfish. I'm interested. Like I'm just curious of what you got going on. Because for me, like that first time building a team, that was the hard thing. Like because you don't know how to go about it at first, or at least I didn't, and I did a really bad job of it. And I met a really cool letterer. Her name was Kuen Tang. She had done some stuff for DC. And I had hired her for the book, and she's like, "Perfect. Can you send me the art? I'll get started right away." And I was like, "Oh, I don't have an artist yet." And she gave me my first lesson. She was like, "Well, you probably shouldn't have hired a letterer if you don't have an artist yet. That was dumb. What can I do to help?" And I said, "I don't know. Do you know how to hire an artist?" She said, "Yes, I know how to hire an artist. Let's do that." And she helped me find an artist for Growing Up, that anthology, and helped me learn how to make a book. So I'm always thankful to her. Go hire her. She's an amazing artist and letterer, and she does a million different things. Very, very talented woman. So always hire her for anything that she does. She does a million things. She wheelchaired across the wall of China. Like she's so talented. And she took the time and had the kindness to teach me how to make a comic book. And how many other industries would someone do that? Starting small, maybe, and maybe an editor goes a long way. Yeah, it really does. How do you letter? Is that putting the words in the bubble? Yeah, that like to get like as reductive there with that, like that's what lettering is. Kuen Tang, Kuentang. She's one of the coolest people on this planet. But yeah, that's how you letter. And there's hand lettering where you're actually drawing in the words onto the bubble, and it's way more complicated than that. It's about speech bubble placement. A lot of letterers do the SFX, so like the onomatopoeia that you see in books. It's about creating a font. A lot of people who letter professionally create their own font, so you're drawing every single letter and character in the alphabet and adjacent, including numbers, and creating your own font, so you have your own proprietary fonts to use. Some of it's selecting a font to do it by typing, and like finding good ones that fit. Hand lettering is, I wouldn't say dying. It's a little bit antiquated in some cases, and it's a lot harder to do, and a lot more time consuming, but sometimes it comes out better. Some of Hellion and Bash was hand lettered. I work with Mike Stock now. He's the letterer that I go to almost exclusively. I've worked with DC Hopkins and Taylor Esposito, two also very, very talented letterers who work with Marvel and DC. They're very, very busy, though. Mike Stock is really, really awesome. Highly recommend him. He works on all my stuff. But lettering is an art form, and bad lettering will ruin a book, and good lettering will fade into the background and will make your book sing in a way that you cannot understand unless you've done your research. So do not sleep on lettering. Learn it. If you're going to do it right. Don't just go, well, I can just type it in, copy and paste, done. It's way more complicated than that. It's a skill and an art form to itself, and it's very, very important to making your book look professional. So make sure you do that work. I can do that. Give me a chance. You might be able to start doing it, but I recommend learning. Blambot has a book. Blambot does lettering for many different books. Create your own stuff. Marvel, DC, he works with Scotty Young very often. Nick Picos, he has a book on lettering, step by step on how to do it. It's a really, really amazing book. Love it. His name is Blambot. He has a lot of tools for fonts and starting out and learning. Just on his website, on the Blambot website, you can download fonts and stuff. If that is where you're going to, if you're going to want to learn how to letter, that's the best place to start, in my opinion. So go check that out if you're interested. 6 Skills, like, definitely worth it. Give me a page, and if you don't like it, and I'll letter it. I'll give you a page you don't like, and I'll letter it. That's fair. I can give you some pages. If you want some stuff to practice, I can send you some unlettered pages for you to practice. My brother, Dave, is learning how to letter from Nate Picos and Blambot, and that's basically what I did. I gave him a book that hadn't been published yet, and I said, here's the letters. Good luck. Go practice. Nate Pico's Guide to Lettering is my Bible. It is the book, dude. Exactly, man. You're doing the right thing, dude. That's a great book. I love it, and that's how I was learning how to letter. And I've done some lettering. I just don't have as much fun doing it. But it's a really important skill. And also, like, I try to learn a little bit of everything that I hire people to do, because it helps me empathize. I know it makes me sound like a computer, but I like to understand what I'm asking people to do, whether I'm paying them or not. If we're on a team and I'm telling you to do a job, I want to understand what I'm asking you to do. Partly so I can have a better dialogue and have the right parlance to convey to you what I want, and partly because I think it's a little unfair when you're managing a project and going, hey, go do this thing, and I don't know what goes into it and the time and effort that I need to understand to ask you to do it. People hate those managers who are like, I need you to do this better, but they don't even know how to do your job, and they're your manager, you know? And as a writer and the funder of a lot of my projects, I am that role, and I want you to understand that I know what you're working on. I can't do it as good as you, but I understand at least what goes into it. I'm gonna wing it. Don't wing it. Don't wing it. Go learn the skill, man. Also, highly recommend Filth and Grammar by Shelley Bond, especially if you want to know every part. Yes, great suggestion. Also, anything by Steve McCloud. Highly recommend it, especially for you, T.S. Yeah, definitely, dude. Thank you. And I have read some of it. I fell off. I picked up that one last year. I was sick, and I had read it, and then, work gets in the way. Know what you don't know. Exactly. Know what you don't know. That's a big part of it. But you know what? I should jump back into that book, Ricardo. Thank you for the recommendation. Oh, thank you so much for the heart, Higgins. I'm good. I'm tired. How are you doing? Ricardo, you remind me. I'm gonna go re-download that book right now, because I know, like, if I don't do it right now, I'm not going to check it out again. And I know I fell off and I never went back to it. Let's go. How to Letter a Comic for Dummies. They have those. They have those books. I haven't read a lot of those ones though. How are you doing, Higgins? Are you alive? Are you working? You know what? I am doing really well. I have a lot of extra work to do, but my Kickstarter is funded. It's at $3,378 out of a $3,000 goal. I have 79 amazing, wonderful, super awesome, cool people who backed my book, and I am so thankful for that. So it's a great day. I'm just sleepy. I'm tired also. Got a long weekend. Day off tomorrow. Did the campaign end? It did not end. It's got 8 hours left. We got 8 hours to get one more backer so we get to 80 backers. So there's still time. Gonna start Words for Pictures by Brian. Oh, I love Words for Pictures. I read that one a long time ago. I made a mistake, though. I actually bought that one twice because I bought the audiobook first. There's a lot of pictures and explainers, really awesome diagrams, graphs, art examples in it. So don't make that same mistake. Buy the hard copy, which I also did. But I love that book as well. Really good learning tool. So 3 really good book recommendations so you can go check out. And also, what's the Steve McCloud comic book? I mean, he's got several, but is it Learning Comics? Understanding? I think it's Understanding Comics, right? Definitely recommend that one, obviously. That one's like kind of goes without saying, but we said it. And like, he's got a trilogy. Yeah, exactly. And like, it's not that you necessarily have to read these books to understand how to make comic books. You totally could wing it, but it's going to take longer. And why not learn from people who are good at the job and good at explaining it to other people? Understanding Comics, Making Comics, and Reinventing Comics. Thank you. All good reads, as well as with Nate Picos's Blambot book, which is, I'm trying to remember the actual name, but Filth and Grammar by Shelley Bond. That's a good one. And then what was the name? Nate Pico's Guide to Lettering. So those many different books. Words for Pictures by Brian Michael Bendis. Go check out all of those. I can wing it. T.S. said I could. You can. Should you? I don't think so. Especially not if you want to level up faster, because like you'll get there eventually if you practice anything long enough and you take the right lessons from it. You can do it on your own. You don't need to study. But why not study when these people have proven methods on how to learn these skills? Watch, I'm super good at it. Maybe, right? But I feel like it's somewhat unlikely, because even people who are talented at a thing can hone their craft and get better at it with study and research and practice. I want to eventually teach comic writing in college, and those books will be required reading. They're great ones, but you know, the best required reading is comic books, and I think some people forget that, right? Like, it's like you got to have input to have output, and like, I think that set right there, like, that's a solid 6 books to go check out. That is great for just anything that you want to do in comic books. Maybe not editing. I don't know how much, like, maybe Filth goes into editing a little bit more. Those other ones really don't. But like combining those with a good set of books, even that you can't necessarily prescribe. Like, it's got to be books that they enjoy. But I learned so much from just reading a lot of comic books too. So if you combine those two things, studying comic books, reading how-to books like that on comic books, and then doing the actual practical practice and making comic books. If you do those 3 things, it's going to be hard not to get better at making them. Did you see that Primeval comic that I started? No, I didn't. I definitely want to check that out. If you were given 3 comic books to give to a comic writing class, what would they be? I think it would depend on if they're going to read like superhero stuff, but Matt Fraction's Hawkeye, I think, is a masterclass in what you can do on a page and still have fun with it, because you marry a lot of little different things, because it's still, at the end of the day, an entertaining comic book that speaks to a broad audience, but it shows you how to do that panel-to-panel writing style in such a way that you could easily write a script and hand it to an artist. And that's partly where I learned, was that exact series. Man, trying to think of another one that could really showcase like that writing, because there's so many good writers, and I hate to leave people out. But I like so many different writers for different things, right? Like, when I think of someone who can capture the existence of an existing world and world building, and then add pathos and ethos to it, like Gail Simone, right? Anything by her could showcase how to play with other people's toys. If you just want to learn the art of making comic books and working with a collaborator, Robert Kirkman, anything he's written, like, it's just like, it'll show you how to work with a teammate. And I think Robert Kirkman does that very, very well. He has an idea that he wants to get across, but he writes what that artist wants to draw. And I think that is kind of a slept-on skill, is that work of collaboration. Oh man, such a like big question. I apologize for kind of stumbling over it, because there's a million different things I want people to go and check out. Because there's so many different skills that you could take from it. It depends on what kind of story you want to tell. I don't know, because like there's so many skills that I take from where it's like, again, the collaboration thing I learned from Robert Kirkman, how to set up a splash page also from him. So you could just go superheroes. Invincible by Robert Kirkman, Hawkeye by Matt Fraction, and any superhero book Gail Simone has ever written, right? And so, like, there's your superhero starter pack on how to write comic books. But if you look at independent stuff, if you look at things that aren't about playing with other people's toys, when you just want to see like how beautiful the prose can be, you can look at something like J. Michael Straczynski's work. You could look at so many different people that's written Swamp Thing, right? I think a lot of classes focus on Alan Moore or Frank Miller, and not that those aren't amazing things to do, but you're looking at people who reinvented the medium, and I think some classes stumble when they hand you something as great and as seminal as those works and go, see, that's how you do it, when really they were the exception rather than the rule. And if you just copy their work, you're not going to come out with learning many skills. You're just going to come out with a facsimile of those amazing people, you know? Is that even the title? I forget it. It's on my desk still. Just Astro City. Yeah, Astro City is a great one. I apologize. It's a cool question to only give 3. Right, like that's I feel bad where I'm like, TS, you have 80 now. Oh, they go up? Thank you so much, dude. I don't know if you did that, but still, thank you so much to whoever did it. And if it was you, thank you so much. We did it. 80 backers. That just makes me feel better. It's just a nice round number. Thank you so much. Collaboration is a skill I need to work on. I'm sometimes too protective over my babies. Listen, I think sometimes we're protective over our ideas when you haven't had a lot of successes, a lot of wins, because you think that maybe you only have those ideas. As you do more, you'll learn that you have more ideas. You don't have to be as precious with them. You learn that people don't want to steal your ideas. You're not that famous. You're not that cool. I hate calling people nobodies. Like, I'm a nobody. I can say that about me, but I hate saying that about other people. But you are less known than most people, so why are they going to steal your idea? It's not going to happen. Also, if they did, who cares? The execution is what matters. You're going to tell a better story, and most people that hire somebody, it's not for the idea. It's what they've done in the past to execute on that idea. And then the third thing is you're going to have more ideas. If you're good at writing, the idea is the easiest part. So you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to be precious about it. And also, it's like the collaboration. Like, you're not asking somebody else to tell your story. You're trusting them to do the part that you're not good at. When I write a thing and I have a collaborator, like I co-create Tokyo Fire with Sky Hawkins. Sky Hawkins owns 50% of the IP with me. And the reason why that is like, yeah, I came up with a lot of that story, but so did she. She created so many parts of that world and brought them to life in a way that I never could. And it's a better book for that collaboration. So I don't need to be protective over it because I trust her, because she's shown me how good she is at this. But thank you. Like, I will catch up on chat. Thank you so much, Higgins. You're the best. Thank you, dude. It means a ton. I hope you enjoy the books, especially. That's interesting because I don't come from a Marvel or DC background. I only read indie stuff so far. I love indie stuff, and there's so many good indie books that you can learn from, and especially creator-owned stuff. If I wanted to show people the best book ever, I'd say go check out Saga. However, when it comes to teaching people how to read or how to create or how to write comic books, I think superhero books so often have that broad appeal that you can learn a lot from it. And that's why I often go there. I know one person who may steal one of my ideas, that's all. Maybe, but they're not going to do the same job that you would do. Is there a contract between you and her for Tokyo Fire? Yeah, oh yeah. We have a contract for Tokyo Fire. We have several contracts for Tokyo Fire. And like we have a contract with Professional Entropy, the publisher for Tokyo Fire. We have a contract with our letterer. You get a lot of them. No problem, man. I can't wait to read it. I hope I did it right. I wanted digital copies for 1 and 2. I can check right now and tell you if that is what you did. If that helps. Give me 1 second. Would it be okay if I asked you questions every now and then? I'm still but a neophyte. Dude, ask me questions whenever, Ricardo. You have me here on TikTok, right? I'm pretty sure we're mutuals. If you want to, I can send you my email. Literally anytime. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm slow to reply often because I'm always doing way too much. So I'm going to be honest with you, like Six Skills is waiting for feedback from me on a script that he sent me like 2 weeks ago. So I will be completely honest with you there. But you're never bothering me. I love to help out. I'm going to tell you, though, I'm going to be honest with my skill level. Like, listen, I don't work at Marvel or DC. I'm not getting hired by Image Comics. Not to disparage Professional Entropy and Invader, the 2 publishers I do work with. I love them, and they're way bigger than I deserve to be working with. However, when it comes to the echelons of like how many readers they have, much smaller audience than Image, Boom, IDW, Marvel, DC. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm an expert in this stuff and you're getting the best advice possible. There are bigger, more successful people that you could ask these questions to. I will tell you, though, I will always give you my honest answer and help out any way that I can. And I will also be honest with the stuff I don't know. Like, if you're asking me, hey, how do I break in? I don't have an answer for that. I'm doing the best that I can. But if you have a question on how I write a thing, I can give you my opinion on how to do it or how I would do it. But always, man, I appreciate you. And listen, there's a no small part of my ego that feels great when people want to ask me a writing question. It's the first time I've paid to a Kickstarter that hit target. Last time I did one, they didn't hit. Listen, I appreciate that, but like that's how we hit them. Like, is you backing the support. And so far, I haven't had any failed campaigns. Like, I had a few whales of fans really help me out on this one. Like, we were doing pretty poorly last. Poorly is not fair. We were about halfway funded. I think we went a little. Me and the publisher went a little bit lofty with trying to hit 3,000 on this one. Just where we are in this economy and it being a superhero book, I think we aimed too high. And I had a few super fans, back higher amounts than what they normally would have because they could afford to, and that helped us hit it. So like, I never want to disparage anybody who doesn't hit their goals because it's hard to do. It's the dopest unfinished script you've ever seen. Finish it then. Gave you a follow, Ricardo. Oh, heck yeah, there you go. And that's how it goes. But yeah, I mean, always feel free to ask me, and hopefully I can help you out with what you need to know. But I'll always be honest. If I don't know the answer, I won't do that. Higgins, I'm checking right now to tell you what you backed at. You were looking for the first 2 digital copies. So issue 1 digital, issue 2 digital of Hellion and Bash only. Let's see. You backed at the digital catch-up combo, which is Hellion and Bash, #1 script. Let's double check that. I just edited it. Oh, I can't answer your question if you're changing the parameters. But the digital catch-up combo comes with issue 1 and 2 digitally. So that is what you were looking for. Did you add the script? Is that what you did? I went for 1 and 2 and the script. I want to see behind the curtain process. Oh, okay, yeah. And what I do with the script is I take an 8x10, like a normal letter piece of paper, and I print a page on half of it, basically, so it's smaller, handheld, so you can just flip through it really easily, almost like a play script, like a playbill, just so it's easy, handheld, and you can do it. Wait, you can buy the script? Yeah, I always sell the script, dude. Want to do it again? Okay, I appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much for your support, and I hope you enjoy the script. And maybe you can see like how I do it, and you can go, well, I can do that. Which is always, that's what I want people to do when they see it. I want them to like go, okay, this is how I do it. I can do this, and hopefully it helps you out. Well, wait, yeah. Oh, I always sell the script so people can see how I do it, and if they want to do it themselves. You've inspired me to head to my LCS right now, so I'm going to head off. But it's been a pleasure. Oh, dude, thank you so much, dude. I appreciate it. Tell them to buy copies of The Digger from Invader Comics. It's coming out soon. I pledged $20 without a reward. Can I have a script, but I'll take a digital to make it easy? You definitely can, dude. No problem at all. I'll email it to you when the campaign closes. You got it. I love reading scripts. I'll read that script after I've read 1 and 2. Yeah, definitely. What did you get, the script for issue 1 or the script for issue 2? It doesn't really matter. I'm just curious. But I love writing comics. I love writing scripts, and I have a really good time doing it. And I take out some of the notes that go to specific team members. But I leave a lot of it in there still. The script for 1. Okay, perfect. Yeah, because like that's got notes to the letterer. I take out, whenever I send a script to somebody from my team, I give them a little foreword up front that's like, hey, artist name, this is what I'm thinking for this pass, this is my intention, here's some notes for you, this is what we discussed here just to remind you, and then, general, hey, how are yous? I take that out, but I leave everything else in there, so you see this is the part that's going to the artist, this is the part that's going to the letterer. I leave a lot of jokes in there for my team. So it's like funny stuff, because I don't want them to be bored to tears as they're reading the script. I separate every single page. Like, so if page 1, panel 1, it only has 1 panel, I still do that on a new page. So where can I buy one of your scripts? You can go check it out, the link in my bio. All of my scripts are available on the Kickstarter right now, Ricardo. And if you want to wait, if you don't want to back the Kickstarter, all of my scripts go up on sale on my website. And for the publisher, professionalentropy.com, and my website is can'tbekilledcreations.com. It's also in my bio somewhere. So I put them up both there. So we can get you a script, man. Don't worry. I already did back to Kickstarter. Heyo, hey! If you want to do it as an add-on, they're all available as add-ons. I have scripts for Tokyo Fire. Thank you so much, by the way. Tokyo Fire, Hellion and Bash, both issues. I don't have the script for Growing Up because it was rough. You know, I love add-ons. Well, check it out. I also got stickers on there. I love those stickers. I got a lot of requests for it. Look at how pretty he is. They're clear too, so it looks like he's holding on to something when you take the backing off. I hope you get more pledges in the next 8 hours. Thanks, man. I hope so too. But like, I try not to be greedy. Like, we hit the goal. It's awesome. I would love to get to 4,000. Like, that would be dope. Because let's be real, I never want to not get backers. I want to get all the backers. That'd be awesome. I gotta make up for the marketing budget. Like we did some paid posts. We did some ads. They didn't do anything crazy like a billboard or anything like that, but there was commercials for it, which I still wild, you know. But yeah, I would love to do that. But I love like when people buy the scripts. That's why I put them on there. I wasn't sure anybody would buy them, so the fact that anybody is interested is really, really cool. Because I try to make them easy to read. I try to make them helpful, and I'm proud of the script. Like, the script is my first contribution past the pitch process of like what I get to do for the book, and then I have to hand it to other people and cross my fingers. The cool thing is I get to work with really, really talented people, so very rarely do people make my book worse. That doesn't happen often. Usually they bring it to life in a way that I never could. And Marcus Pedro on art on issue 1 and 2, that dude is going places. He's going to be at Marvel and DC and no longer slumming it with me soon. I guarantee it. He's so talented. And he does most of it traditionally, which is really impressive because of how fast he does it. I mean, working digitally is just as cool, but like he does it so fast traditionally, and he holds on to the original artwork so he can sell it at cons and stuff. Will you do a director's cut after there's a trade? What do you mean by director's cut? They're definitely going to do a trade. Like, do you think I'm going to add more content to it? Maybe. We have a few things that we've left on the cutting room floor. Not much, though. Being as small as we are, we're really tactical with what we produce, so we don't waste a lot of things. Super Duper Waffles, ayo, what's going on, dude? But I don't know how much we can add. We will add more concept art. We have a lot of concept art that we leave out. We only put it on there if we reach, like, stretch goals and stuff. So Sean Liefeld do it with his Infinite series. Yeah, I don't think Liefeld. I don't think I have as much stuff as Liefeld can do because he does a lot of his own drawing too. So like, we have a few cool things that we can add for back matter, like some of our back and forths on concepts of like where we were going with it. I have some of my original designs because I drew some of the characters originally as like part of the pitch. So I have that. We have a few short stories and a few extra ones that we might produce because we're working on another series in the universe, if these sell well. So that might be something that we throw together in the trade. Y'all's talking about comic books? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're talking about comic books. I write comics. That's my whole thing. My name's T.S. and I write comics like Hellion and Bash. Link is in the bio. It's a superhero story. But I also write a series called Tokyo Fire, and I have a new book called The Digger coming out from Invader Comics later on this year. So, if you like comic books, talking about them, hang out, dude. Ask some questions. By the way, does Bash have a letters page? It doesn't. That was one of the stretch goals we wanted to do. And also, when I had talked about it, no one really seemed interested in sending anything out. Six Skills is making a video game, and he's going to let me write some stuff when he's ready for more narrative. Right, Six Skills? Right? It's called Alakablam. You can get the demo on Steam, right? It's still available. It's a work in progress, though. But yeah, no, we don't have a letters page this time around. People just didn't seem that interested in it. If you are interested in it, though, I can add you to the list and we can start a letters page and get something working out. Got to go through me. Oh, okay. All right. I thought you had a Steam page up. I'm sorry. But play it. It's fun. It's a first-person shooter, but you're a wizard. So you're casting spells and shooting stuff with, like, your fingers. It's rad. Do y'all need voice actors for comic dubs? Yeah, actually, would definitely be interested in checking some of it out if you have a reel. I do a lot of trailers for my comic books, and I'm always interested to reach out more talent and just to make friends in that, and I love voice acting just as like a nerd. So, Super Duper Waffles, if you follow me, I'll hit you up. I would love to hear your reel. Have you done many dubs? Have you ever done a commercial? I'm a voice actor? You are? Heck yeah, dude. Well, I will follow you back and let's talk about it. What stuff have you done? That's a shame. You could have done Bullpen What would your Stan Lee sign off be? Oh, I mean, if people wanted it, I would totally do it. And I don't know what my sign off would be. I know my introduction. Hi, I'm T.S. and I write comics. That I say it about 1,000,000 times a day. I don't know what my sign off would be. It can't be Excelsior, right? I'll have to think on it. But I don't think that, especially in indie comics, it's a struggle to get to 80 fans, and not all 80 of those fans want to add more to that world by writing the letters page. But if people are interested, man, like, listen, I would jump on it in a heartbeat. The page isn't quite ready. It's really hard. Dude, I hear you, man. No pressure. I don't mean to put that on you. I'm not a voice actor. I do one line. Bystander 3. Listen, like, that's, like, I do cameos in all my books. That's part of the tiers that I always offer. And a lot of people are like, hey, I don't know if I want to do comic books, but I want to be a part of it in some way. So that's how it happens. Well, lots of followers. How many monies are you? Oh, it's not what you think. I do voiceovers for cartoons. Oh, that's awesome. What cartoons? Or do you just do it yourself? Are you on YouTube? Or do you do professional stuff? What kind of like level are you at? Because like I said, like I that is something that me and my publisher have talked about specifically. I edit a lot of our commercials, a lot of our ads, and I do the voiceover. I am not a voice actor. I am very bad at it, in fact. I can only do so much with it, and we want to hire more voice actors as we go through it. And what we want to start doing is just do, we want to redub what I've already recorded with a more talented actor, and just do that first one, and then as we do more commercials, we'd go forward. But yeah, I'll definitely hit you up. And I want to check out your demo reel. I'm really excited. You just like, you hit one of those things where I'm like, no, I was literally just talking to my publisher about this, and like trying to figure out who we want to reach out to, how do we want to get started in this. So kind of serendipitous. I really appreciate it. And I will follow you back as soon as I'm done with the live, and I will check out your demo reel. Can you give me something that you've worked on, or like mention it in the chat that I can like look up while I'm at my computer, or anything that you've done like just for fun? Like, give me some examples so I can show you off your stuff. Hey, my primos, what's going on? Hey, you're TS and you write comics. It's true, I do. I'm also a narrator / voice actor. Oh, heck yeah, Sacred Scribe. Hit me up. Like I said, like, I really am interested. My email is in my bio. It's comics@can'tbekilledcreations.com if you just don't want to like, look it up, but please email me. Look up my recent post on TikTok. Will do, super duper waffles. I'm excited. And like I said, like I know it sure, a lot of people offer that, but this is a thing that we've talked about because I can edit a video and I have some really awesome art that comes from the comic books and I have a really good time doing that part. When it comes to the voiceover, this is what I sound like. This is what all of my ads sound like. And I can write copy all day, but when it comes to like the voice acting part and making it entertaining or sounding well, you got to recognize where you are good and what you are lacking. And I am sorely lacking in a voice for radio. Got a face for radio, don't have a voice for one. I can do voice work, but you'll hear my computer the whole time, so I'm helicopter pilot number 4. That's totally fair. Switch over to liquid cooling. It's much quieter. Can you do a British accent? Of course I can't do a British accent. I can't do anything like that, man. At this point, like, I put all of my skill points into storytelling. And it's what I always say, like, when I'm doing my lives and stuff. Like, I appreciate you guys hanging out, because I'm not a good influencer. I don't make awesome videos. I on my lives, I depend on you to talk to me, because I don't know what else to say. And, so, like, no. Say bottle of water. What's the thing where it's, like, the soda can thing? Like, one sounds like bacon, one sounds like pop can or something like that. I do, but fans are failing. Gotta replace those fans. You don't want the computer to overheat. Yeah, I've been doing voiceovers for 2.5 years. I can do impressions. Oh, that's rad. What impressions do you do? Anything specific that you're like really proud of? What's like your favorite impression you do? Love Actually. Oh man. That was one, like, I kind of slept on Love Actually. I didn't see it until I was an adult. It's Ty, by the way. Ty, like, what don't you do, dude? But also, like, seriously, like, hit me up. We can talk about that. Yeah, I saw that. I was just reading that other message. I had to check in the other ones. You're right. It's pop. What is this, soda? We were just talking about the dinner the other day, Jenny. Like, I don't. I talk to people from like around the world, but also just like different regions in our country, and like I'll say pop, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Oh, pop, soda, Coke, you know, fizzy drinks." T.S. Has anyone said you look like Jesus or Charles Manson? Man, way to bring a guy down. No, but I see it. Like, why do you want to hurt me like that, Higgins? My side panel is off. It's a pro gamer move. It's a pro gamer move to get it filled with dust. I do more narration than voice acting in you. Charlie Christ. I saw a stand-up make the joke. I thought of you. Like, you're not wrong. I do look like that. I have the same issue when I travel. Dude, it is like that. Like, we have so many Midwestern, like, regionalisms. Like, not just like actual turns of phrases that we do. Like, obviously, we all have that. But, like, just the affectations with how we talk. Growing up, I had a lot of friends from down south and out west. And the thing that they always said is that we talk fast. And I talk fast even for here. And so, like, them telling me I talk fast, I'm like, oh, God, like, what am I supposed to do? Am I talking too fast? And then you combine that with, like, the surfer dude affectation that I have. I just sound like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, and I've just accepted it. And, like, the first thing I do whenever I get into a professional setting is I'm like, hey, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I see a lot of dude, mans, bros, what's ups. Like, I have a lot of that talk in me, and it's hard for me to turn it off. Please let me know if that crosses any boundaries for you, whether it's like how you prefer to be, you know, like talked to, like what are your pronouns, stuff like that. Like, is dude offensive? Because I call everybody dude, man, bro. I call my wife dude often. like on a normal basis. Like the other night we're eating, I was like, listen, bro. And like, I've been married to this woman for over 12 years. Like, it's just how it goes. Dude, I be doing TMNT all the time. Dude, you just can't help it. Like, dude, man, bro, all the time. I remember in high school, my science teacher, he was, like, really serious, and he called me up to, like, talk about a thing, because, like, I did the other thing on the homework, and I was, like, addressing the class, and I was really excited about this project that I did, because I didn't do well in school, and I was doing okay on this one. And I was like, dude, man, bro, dude, thank you. And he was like, hold on, pause. You realize that you just started talking to me, and he was a professor, like he was a really well educated guy. He's like, you just started, dude, man, dude, is how you started this conversation with me. And I was like, oh yeah, no, I can't turn that off. I can learn science, but I can't unlearn the way that I talk. Nice tea, by the way. Whose shield is it? Oh no, I have no idea. I've never really seen this one. But I can do this all day. I mean, obviously it's Captain America. Man, what are you talking about? Want me to send the demo reel right now? I can be right back. Yes, please. I would love to. I'll check it out right after the live. I love Captain America. Obviously, that's why I have that. What do you mean, whose shield is that? Unless you're asking which Captain America, and then I would say this is Steve's. I got 17 pages of that comic done. I don't know when I'm going to stop because pants. You don't need to stop. Keep going as long as the story goes, and then you can edit it down. Think about it, though, like, as you're working towards it, if you can find a chapter break, if you're thinking about putting it out as a serialized comic book, try to aim between 22 and 32 pages. 28 is a good number, but, like, keep it to a reasonable amount of what other people would expect out of a comic book that'll save your wallet in the end, and it keeps it to a size that people expect. If you go shorter than 22, people are going to feel a little bit like they're being cheated, like they're used to a fuller size comic. And if you go much larger than that, you're aiming more like a graphic novel, which is awesome. Gets pricey to actually commission artwork, get it printed. So, like 22-ish is a good number to start with, and then go from there. Which cap, though? Yeah, exactly. This is definitely Steve's. But, you know, like, he hands it off to Sam. I love Sam, too. Oh, that's plenty. Also, print places want a certain even number. You know, totally. Quantities of 4, right? Really easy to think of when it comes to that stuff. Like, aim for 4. And you'll get it down to a science eventually. I'll take a picture of Legos for comics. People have done it. I've seen some really cool Lego comics. Clay is another one. I've seen a lot of cool Clay comics. Kind of reminds me of the old, like, Nintendo Power covers. Those ones are really cool. Fish, my buddy Fish from Mr. Fish Comics, often puts his hand in different things. His cover of Fish Tales Volume 2, where I'm featured for a story, his hand is on the cover because he's like holding one of his characters. It's really neat. You can mix photography really well in there. How's it going, Goblin Grim? I'm alive. How are you doing? Like just trying to run up those numbers for my Kickstarter in the last few hours. I think it's got like 8 hours left, 7ish, right in there. But also just kind of hanging out, doing my victory lap, hanging out with all you awesome people who supported me, and just so I don't have to talk to myself, you know? Talking about comic books. Ultimate Cap or 616 Cap? Listen, I prefer the 616 Cap, but the original Ultimate Cap has the best line in comics, or maybe second best, which is the A on my forehead doesn't stand for France. And I always think of that line. I'm good, waiting to do a live art show, stopping in to say hello. Oh, heck yeah, definitely want to check that out. Are you going to be streaming it? And where can people find it? Go check out Goblin Grimm's art. Do it, you cowards. Where can people find it? We can send everybody your way as I wrap this up, because I gotta go listen to some demo reels now for some voice acting for the next trailer for my books. We do 20 plus for cover pages. Our printer does it in 4s. Yeah, exactly. Well, because you think about it, like you have both sides of a piece of paper, and you're splitting that into 2 pages. It'll be on YouTube, Comics Wellspring show called Spilled Ink. Oh, heck yeah. People definitely need to go check that out. You can go learn it from better comic book creators than me. TS, are you on DeviantArt? I mean, I use DeviantArt to source artwork, and I find people on there. I don't put my stuff on there. Some of my portfolio pieces are up. Mostly, I source work from my covers I did for Tokyo Fire, because I just don't seek out a ton of interior or cover work, because I'm mostly a writer. The cover stuff kind of came because I did a variant cover, and then I started getting hired for stuff off that. And send emails. I will definitely send you emails. But go check out Goblin Grimm's on Spilled Ink at 6:35 Eastern on all those different places. And go follow them, obviously. Also, if you're following me and not them, what are you doing? Like, why would you do that? Do better with your time, you know what I mean? Follow. There you go. You rock as always. No, you rock. Thank you so much, dude. If feel free to mention Hellion and Bash and Tokyo Fire over there while you're there. Also, The Digger picked up by Invader Comics, that's coming out in September, so always go check that out. But yeah, you have a good day too, dude. Well, I got to do this again. I might not be doing the lives as often with the campaign closing, but I will keep it up. I've had honestly way more fun doing lives than making like the actual like TikTok videos. Just being able to sit and hang out with you guys is way more fun. Is Digger going to be on comic shelves? Yep, it's going to be in all sorts of comic shops. If Invader ever wants to publish a game, let me know. Listen, talk to them. They're into publishing all sorts of stuff. Originally they were just doing comic books. They did a couple of different art books. I'm doing a TTRPG for them to go along with the Digger, and they've gotten into more game stuff recently, like board game stuff. But listen, I don't think they'd be against it, depending on what the project is. Do they have money to throw at stuff? I don't think so. A lot of what they have to offer is distribution, so I don't know if they'd be helpful in that way. But it's always worth considering. Mike Perkins, the editor-in-chief over there, that dude knows his stuff, and he's an amazing marketer and amazing comic book creator himself, and also just one of the nicest human beings I've ever talked to. And so many people on their team are awesome. I love Invader Comics, so definitely worth talking to. I'll try to pull it in my local shop, but don't know if they will. Oh, thanks, dude. I really appreciate it. We'll see, especially with like the distribution changing, because before we were just in the Diamond catalog. That's where like the solicitations were for the Digger. But with Diamond going down the way that they did, I think that we'll be in like the massive indies section, which is through Lunar, and then a couple other new distribution chains that have popped up. I'll check Invader out. Oh, heck yeah, Goblin Grimm. They have some really cool books, not just my stuff, but they have a lot of really cool stuff over there. They did Darla, which was the graphic novel created by Josh Rubin, the director of Hard Eyes and Werewolves Within. They did Onyx the Fortuitous children's book. They just did an amazing Nosferatu art book. They have some really, really cool stuff. And they are first and foremost like for the creators. They're some of the nicest people in comic books, and they've had some serious projects, and they also have connections to Hollywood for getting people like adaptations and stuff. Really cool dudes to check out, whether you're working with or just like wanting to buy comic books. But as a creator, they gave me my first big shot, and I would definitely recommend people pitching there. That doesn't mean you might get picked up, but worth doing. And always recommend T.S. Luther stuff when you're at the local comic book shop. That goes a long way. My shop is smaller, so they don't exactly grab everything. Dude, exactly. That's a lot of the stuff. Being in Michigan, really similar vibe, right? Like, a lot of them don't have spaces for indie stuff. I really talked my way into getting in there. Have there been any word on all the biting and stuff for Diamond? Most of it's bad stuff. Like, it's done and probably not going to go anywhere, and people are jumping ship to anywhere they can. Oh, cool. I'm currently looking for writers to work with on some ideas I want to draw as well. Goblin Grim, listen. Hear me out. My name's T.S. What do? I write comics. I would love to work with you, and I would love to just talk about projects in general, dude. So let's chat about it. Let's make something happen. Ezra System is in the chat. He can attest. I write stuff for them sometimes when they let me. They don't do anything with it, but they buy the scripts. Our shop is going to mostly manga and tabletop games. Yeah, and a lot of shops got their toys through Diamond too, so they're just not doing toys for stuff anymore too. I saw that all over the place. I sent the real... Oh, heck yeah, Super Duper Waffles. I will check it out as soon as I'm done here. Diamond is up for auction. Listen, Ezra, you know people. You know people in high places. Let's get some money together. Let's buy Diamond. Let's do it. Let's become a distribution company. Forget making comics. Let's just ship them around the world. I worked in logistics for a long, long time. I did warehouse work for automotive companies. We can make it happen. I got you in mind. I'll message you for sure. Oh, heck yeah, dude. I appreciate that so much. I would love to work with you. I'll take it. I got it. I got $5. We don't do anything with it yet. Yeah, yet. Eventually, you're going to run out of ideas. You're going to be super sad and bored. And you go, TS just won't shut the heck up. I guess we can publish his script. Island of Misfit Distributors. And I can drive the truck. Exactly, dude. But yeah, dude, check out my stuff. You seem really chill. I appreciate that. I am really chill. I'm a fun dude to work with. Ezra can attest. I definitely didn't stress out the entire time. And I cannot wait to check out your reel. I'm super duper excited. I hope you have some of those impressions on there that got me really excited. Also, just like as a fan, I will definitely speak your praises if I enjoy the reel, because I love voice actors. That's one of the things I'm really nerdy about. Me and my brother, giant voice acting fans. We love cartoons. We love all sorts of stuff. And I think it's somewhat of an underappreciated art, and I've loved the second come up of people learning about voice acting from social media. It's been so rad. If I could put out the face tomorrow, I would. I know you would, dude. I love picking on you, but I want you to know that's why I do it. It's because I know that you would put it out if you could right now. But you're making some amazing books right now, like New Luminaries issue number 4 is on its way. Reanimania, go check out all of that stuff. I cannot wait for that Kickstarter. I'm going to throw all of the bucks at it. If I were to pitch a book, which do you recommend? Of mine, The Digger, I think, is the one that I would recommend, because it's coming out from Invader Comics. They have some real juice behind it, and that's the one that I think would do the best in shops because it has the most cachet. Also, it was the one that people picked up from me, like, as a publisher, the fastest. Spooky Light Comics, what's going on? Hey, did you ever see that invoice that I sent over? Like, did you still want to buy those comic books? Sorry to put you on the spot. Feel free to email me. But I would love to get some of my comics. That's my favorite shop. Go check out Spooky Lakes Comics. They're on Whatnot. They have an awesome TikTok account on here. Go check them out. They're the best. Let me ask. I am begging my artists to get a move on. Listen, that's part of what you do. Like, you have some amazing artists that you work with. You happen to work with artists that move slowly and have a lot of projects. That's what's going to happen. So much creativity in the show. Dude, so many talented people. My friends in here. Listen, I love tooting my own horn. I'm awesome. My friends are cooler. So definitely go and check them out. Oh, I meant mine. It should have been specific. No, pitch mine, Faye. But, like, I think Beats. If I were to tell you to pitch any of your other books other than the one that you're currently working on for pitching, pitch Beats. Beats is amazing. It has some longevity there. Bribes work. Yes, bribes work. Go, like, I will send you all of the money. I should have footage from the last playtest. I'm gonna make my first little teaser. Heck yeah, dude. What are you laughing at me for, Taylor? You all seem cool, man. Dude, they're all awesome. What story should I pitch? Your mech one. That's the one you have the furthest. How'd the podcast go? It went well, in my opinion. Emily, how's it going? I appreciate you for asking. I think you gotta ask John and Kevin, the My Primos podcast. Go check out their stuff. Awesome people on there, but only John and Kevin were on with me yesterday. And I had a lot of fun. I don't know if they did. I think that they did, but we'll see. What? Don't laugh at her. But yeah, I think it went well. I'm a bad judge on that though, because I'll try to like make my own fun. I'd have to change a few things to pitch a solo run without the universe, but I'll pitch it. Yeah, I think that's worth it though. I think if you just are looking for something that you've already made, and you have that first issue, you have such a good proof of concept, ready to go. And I think it's the most original. Like you have lots of original characters. I think that's the most original out of them though. And there's several different hooks that you could point to go. This is why this book is unique. So I think that combines really well. Howdy. I got home from work while the podcast was going. We went really long. That was the thing. And then we did the old bad thing of when we were done with the podcast, we still just like Midwestern goodbye and chatted for another hour after that about the stuff that we wouldn't necessarily want to say on the mic. Any other artists in the chat need voice acting for characters? I can do good Rocket impression. Oh, heck yeah. That's rad. Did you talk about me? On the podcast? No, I did not, Six Kills. I apologize. Video games didn't really come up. We had like thought about talking about some video games, and then we went a little bit long chatting about Daredevil, Born Again, because we were just excited because we had just watched episode 4, so we talked a little bit on that more than video games. Mostly we talked about comic books, though. Also, like the end of a D&D... Dude, exactly like the end of a D&D session. That's exactly what happened. Enjoy the amplifier? But like, I think a lot of the times we'll go long and do something like that. Like every single meeting I've ever had with Ezra's system here, like I'll get on. It's like, hey, let's talk about the book for 5 minutes, and then we just chat about our lives because a lot of it is an excuse for us to talk to people that we don't normally have time to if it's not for work. So it's like we have like a second podcast session because it's like, hey, we can actually just chat about stuff we don't normally have time to because we're all working dads. Episode 4, dude, Bernthal was lethal. Dude, he's so good. The dialogue, and I don't want to spoil anything for episode 4, I won't tell you anything, but the dialogue in episode 4 was some of the best in the entire MCU. Writing, period. And I've seen some complaints because there's not a lot of big fight scenes in episode 4. And I just laughed because this is what they just did in episode 4 is what I've wanted from not just a Daredevil show, but from the MCU as a whole since it started. Like Kevin Smith has a joke talking about how we would have all watched a court case about the Hulk having done something wrong, and we never get the Hulk. It's just Bruce Banner on trial, and that is what the show is sometimes, and I think it's so much better for it. The dialogue is so good, and we get to see Matt Murdock being a lawyer in a way that we never got from the original series, and I appreciate it so much. I've been having a blast. This is why my books take so long to produce. Just yap sessions. We do yap a lot. Rogue. So I'm not charging creativity. It's right, tax write-off for social time. I'm pretty sure John watched it without me. I'm kind of bummed. Oh no! To be fair to him, we were dangerously close to spoiling stuff for him, so he probably felt the pressure to watch episode 4 as soon as we got off the mic. Because we were like, me and Kevin were like having a blast talking about it, and we both really enjoyed it, so it was like, he probably felt the FOMO real hard. So that's my fault. We do that with our main publisher team, go so left field in business meetings. I have never seen a business meeting go left more than the lives that Lucky 33 Comics do. They'll go live and just to talk about like, hey, let's figure out the thumbnails for the next issue. Let's punch up some of these jokes. And it's just them having inside jokes and talking about their lives for like 4 hours. And I don't know how they get any books done. I don't know how they do it. And yet they put out some of the best indie comics that are in existence and pretty regularly too. Bernthal was actually going to quit until they changed the script. Exactly. And honestly, I love everything that they changed. And I can see why he came back. Because it is amazing. I loved it in there. And it felt like the MCU. It felt like, Punisher stopped by for one moment. Like what would happen in an actual Daredevil comic. He's not a main character in it. He's not there for 45 action scenes. And he's got an arc. He's just there for a moment. And it's so cool, man. I need to go live again soon. You do! Go live! Come chat with me! Or, also chat with Lucky 33 guys, like whatever you want to do. But do it. I way prefer going live than I do making the TikTok videos. Probably why I don't have as big of a following as you. Also, because you're super entertaining and talented or whatever. But also, I love hanging out with the people and chatting and doing stuff. And I do way better doing this than I do trying to make content that's relatable. I can make videos answering questions on writing and stuff, but I feel like this is much better for that. I would do lives, but I can't on this account. It has to be my writer account. Yeah, that's fair. Kingpin is like human Thanos. Dude, I love Kingpin. I love Kingpin in this specifically. I love their version of it. It's very different than like a lot of the comic stuff in such a cool way, though. I love what Vincent D'Onofrio has done. I'm a giant Vincent D'Onofrio fan, partly from Men in Black, like as a kid, and then like Law and Order: Criminal Intent. But man, I could watch that dude read the phone book. Those nerds are always so busy. We haven't had a meeting in 2 freaking months. Dude, that's crazy. How do you not make comics for 2 freaking months? Or are you still doing stuff in the background just without meetings? Like, just that can be an email or whatever. Because that I get. I don't do a ton of meetings on my stuff, but I know you guys mostly work with meetings. So, like, are you getting less done because you haven't been able to have those meetings? Or have you started to move to the boring TS corporate method of, well, we send 1 email a week, check the boxes, get back to work? No, not really. We've been stalled, basically. Oh, that stinks, man. I'm really sorry to hear that. No jokes. Like, that stinks. And I'm really sorry. Because that's so frustrating. Because, like, I know this is such a big creative outlet for you. And you guys make awesome books. And I know that you were really excited about Reanimania. I'm really excited for Reanimania. Vincent D'Onofrio is the best. Magnificent Seven, the remake, is one of my favorite rewatches. I haven't seen the remake of Magnificent Seven. I didn't even know he was in it. Is it worth watching? I mean, I love westerns. I love the original Magnificent Seven. I think I skipped over it because it didn't get like good buzz for some stuff, so I didn't end up checking it out. But maybe I should. Maybe I should go check it out. I recently watched a show called Pantheon on Netflix. Have you watched it? Oh, I haven't watched it. It's on my list. I heard some really, really good things, and I saw the trailer, and it looked so good. All right, Emily, I will definitely check it out. I will watch it with my Emily tonight. We were gonna watch that, and there was another horror movie that just came out. We just watched Heretic, and we were gonna watch something else. I can't remember what it was. Reanimania, we just got layouts back, so that's moving along at least. Oh heck yeah, like that's good though. That you're slowly working on it at least, like as it goes. There is a little bit too. It's like once, like I know your team goes back and forth a lot. Like I write a script, it's done. It goes to art, then it goes to letters, and it's done. I know you guys go back and forth a lot, so you probably still have a lot of fun stuff to work on for Reanimania, even though it's already in layouts. Like you don't even do like another dialogue pass like with the artist or anything until afterwards, right? Yours is such like a collaborative experience. It's really really cool. If she's a movie lady, she'll definitely enjoy it, and the score is great. Oh yeah, she's a movie lady. In the way that like, hey, we have 2 hours to watch TV versus a half an hour to watch a show or whatever. She just likes art. Like she's not specific or anything like that. Sometimes she's in the mood for a western. Sometimes I can get her to watch a horror movie with me. Most of the time, it's like an action one that she can do. I know what was up next. We were gonna watch Alien 3. She's never seen Alien 3, and she was working her way through the Alien universe, and that was the one that she was looking at. The Magnificent Seven is good, man. Vincent plays this character called Bear. He's awesome. Love it. All right, I'll go check it out. Like I said, I really like the original. I love westerns just in general. So I'll definitely go check it out. Yeah, basically it's different with this one because we're working with Alexis, but he's fantastic. Oh yeah, like that is interesting. Like he probably, because he does so much more on like that corporate scale, he was probably like, hey, just send me a script. Doesn't need too much additional direction. Right, exactly. Not quite as in depth as Josh. I've seen Josh's process. I've talked to him and some of his frequent collaborators, and man, that dude gets in depth. He's like, I need to know the angle for this shot, and you go, yeah, we said it like this. He's like, no, but like which degree of it is gonna go for this like shield being thrown, and it's intense, but it pays off, man. His artwork is amazing. Okay, I gotta go finish a prose book. Good luck, dude. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, he just bangs it out, basically. Josh is meticulous. No, he really is. And, like, I want to pick on him because he doesn't produce as much, but the stuff that he does make is so cool. And part of the reason why he takes so long on your book is because, like, not that he puts his heart and soul into everything he does, but he puts a little extra sauce on there for the Lucky 33 books. I know he does. So, like, I get why those ones take a little bit longer. But as a producer of comics, I know how frustrating that can be when you're like, I just need to get this other book out. And you gotta wait. But I also know, like, I'm sure that he's not necessarily charging an arm and a leg, and he puts a lot of extra love into it. And him and Sam are always making a new book, so it takes a while. But I appreciate all the stuff that he does, and I've asked him to work on books, and he has no time, man. When's it gonna happen? Hear me out. A Tom and Jerry remake animated by DreamWorks, written by Vince Gilligan. Watch. Oh yeah, I'd watch anything. I watch anything Vince Gilligan would write. Yeah, and we're always waiting on a new Sam book to finish. That's I was hitting them up about stuff, about like where they're publishing their next book, like what they were doing for pitches and stuff, and they're basically like, well, we're not. We're still like in the process of this one. And I was like, that was the same one you were working on before. And they're like, yeah, we take a long time on what we're doing. And I'm like, that's really cool. It makes me worried, like, am I rushing out all of my stuff? Like, I wrote and got Hellion and Bash published, issues 1 and 2, like, back to back. Like, as soon as issue 1 was shipping, issue 2 was in production. Oh, thank you so much for the gift, dude. Thank you. And I'm like, and then I see, like, you guys, and I see Sam, and I'm like, okay, am I doing this too fast? And then I talked to Fish, and in the time it took me to make one book, he's written, drawn, colored, lettered, like 5, and that's not even including the stuff that he's making for me and the stuff that I write for him to make a book. So, I don't know, everyone has their own speeds, but it's hard not to look at everybody else and go, am I doing this right? And then Avina, exactly. And then Avina has 42 books. He has a new podcast that he's on. Is doing a blog on cooking, teaching classes now, holding symposiums on how to do all the stuff that like we have to struggle through. He's like, I'll teach other people to do it, and then still finds time to take like a 4-hour call from me when I can go, hey, help me, please. And that's not to mention all the cons he goes to. I'm not much of an anime watcher anymore, but I have been watching the show, Sakamoto Days. It's cool. I've heard really good thing about Sakamoto Days. It's on my list. How long have you been on this live? A long time, Martin. A while. 2 hours? 3 hours? I gotta get those numbers up. Hellion and Bash is live on Kickstarter right now for another 6 hours? 7 hours. For another 7 hours. Gotta drive those numbers up. And this is my last day, like, as soon as the campaign closes, I have, like, 12 other books I gotta write. So, this is my last chance to chat with everybody before I gotta go do it. We have 2 new books that we are launching at C2E2. 3 if you include La Llorona 3. See? Hours. See? But this is exactly what we're talking about, dude. He's killing it. He does so well. And that's another thing, too, is like, I go, man, am I doing this fast enough? And then I see John, who gets turned away from certain sections at cons because he's written too many books. They go, no, you have to be in the small press section. You don't get to be in Artist Alley because he has 100 books out. This live is great. Glad to be here. Oh, thank you so much, dude. That means a lot. Thank you for hanging out. I was going to say, if you wanted to kill time, write me a comic. Dude, I mean, listen. I can always write you a comic. Always happening. I'm always writing books. I have scripts done. I can write a new one. It takes me about a week to write, in my opinion, a good script. I can write them faster, but I think a week time is about what it takes. And I always have them. Work with Cosmic, that would rule. Listen, I've talked about it. We've talked about it. They got some other stuff going on, but when they're ready, I'll be there, Martin. Always hit me up. I always have stuff. And I joke, I have some other stuff to write, but most of it I have to finish. Like, I have a lot of them basically done. But like I owe The Digger issue number 4, which is coming out later on this year. I have Hellion and Bash number 3, Tokyo Fire number 2 done in the can, but I have to work on issue 3 of both, and I have to have those done soon. I have a few more pages on a project for Benny Rose. And then I have a few other secret things that I'm working on for publishers that I can't talk about yet. So just have a few things that I got to finish up. Nothing from scratch. So if I started on a new one, I would totally be down. It takes me way too long to write these days. Yeah, but you're doing a lot of other things, right? Like, you're also being a publisher, you're going to cons and do that stuff. This is what I do all day. I go live, I chat, I send Alex a bunch of memes on TikTok, and then I go and write comic books, and then I pick up my kids. That's it. And today somebody else is picking up my kids so I can go live. If they made an independent Harvey Dent movie, who should be casted to play Dent? It depends on what kind of movie they were going to do. If it was just focusing on Harvey Dent before, there's so many really, really talented people. But I think Jack Quaid would be a really interesting way to go about it, because he's so kind and charismatic that you wouldn't see that turn going, but he can have a ruthless streak like what he did in The Boys. And I think Jack Quaid would be really, really good. Mr. Midlife Crisis, you're back. What's going on, dude? But yeah, Martin, like I know we've joked and we've gone back and forth about it, and I know you're working on your distribution stuff. But please hit me up if you're ready for me to work on one of those scripts that we talked about for that series. Like also, you can sit on it until you're ready to send it out. That's what I did for The Face for Lucky 33. They might never publish that comic book, but they have it when they're ready, and it's going to sit there. When the apocalypse comes, there's only going to be a few things left in that vault. There's going to be the cheese that we hide underground. There's going to be the cockroaches. There's going to be the Twinkies, and there's going to be my script for The Face from Lucky 33 Comics. And that's it. So you can always sit on it. James Spader should voice act more. What do you think? Oh, dude, I love James Spader's voice. I mean, obviously, Robert California, I love him. But I'm probably in the minority in this because I know a lot of people don't like that movie. But I love what he did for Ultron. Like, I thought that was such a great take. We might never? Yeah, exactly. Do you feel the pressure? Do you feel, like, put out that book, man? James Spader's Ultron is my favorite. Thank you! See, this is why we're friends, Alex. Because you understand. I love James Spader's Ultron. It's so good. And I love that movie, too. Like, obviously, there are issues with it. But, like, whenever I think of Hawkeye's, like, speech to Scarlet Witch, or just, like, how funny he is in that book, or in that movie, and inexplicably in such a strange, awesome costume for no reason. Like, I love so much about that movie. No, Age of Ultron is my favorite one. Thank you, dude. I feel so much better. I get so much hate talking about it, and you see so many people hating on that movie, and I'm like, is it just cool to do it? What's impressive, Jenny? What are you talking about? Nothing I do is impressive. The first scene absolutely rocks. Oh, dude, I love the opening of that. And I like it's also like so hilarious. Like I love when Strucker is like, "We will never surrender." Immediately, "We will surrender." It has so much comedy in there, and it does the world building. Yeah, there's some awkward scenes with like Thor going to take a bath randomly, but like even past that, so much of that movie is good. Have you ever had to sign an NDA? Oh yeah, I've had to sign NDAs for like some ridiculous stuff too, like stuff that like has never seen the light of day, and even if it did, no one cares. So yeah, I've done that, and I don't mind. Like I'll sign whatever if you don't want me to share. It just means you'll get less publicity on a lot of stuff, I guess. But yeah, I've signed NDAs, and I don't mind. I think sometimes though, like I laugh because I'm like, who do you think I'm going to talk to, right? Like what kind of audience do you think I have? So yes, I have signed them, and I don't mind doing it. Sometimes I think it's a little like unnecessary because I'm like, who's gonna listen to me, you know? I love that movie too. I literally did a voiceover scene of it. Oh, that's so cool, dude. I'm gonna make people sign a DA when they have to talk about our stuff. You have to disclose this. You have to talk about our stuff. And you know, like, I made that mistake too when I first started. I worked on a couple of pitch packets with my buddy Mar for a series that we're pitching right now. And she wanted to share the artwork because she did some amazing art on it. She even did some variant covers for Tokyo Fire. And I told her, I'm like, hey, don't share it out because I want to pitch this to publishers and I don't want that to be out there yet. And then when I started pitching it to publishers, they're like, how come we haven't seen this yet? Like, we follow her. We've done work with her. And I'm like, oh, because I was dumb and I told her not to disclose it. And it's just like a lesson for me to learn, you know? It's just the same thing like when people don't want to share their ideas early on in their career because they think that it's so precious and no one's going to steal your idea. And when they do, they're not going to do it, you know? I don't promote or talk about any project until it's in production, and I require the same from... That's totally fair. And like I don't like talking about a project until like it's ready to go out. Like I don't like yapping about the stuff because kind of feels like playing house a little bit sometimes when you're talking about a project that's just vaporware right now. It's all hypothetical. But once a book is in production and it's working on, then like I'm like, no one's gonna steal your idea. You know what I mean? But you're in a different case. Like what I'm talking about is like a writer with an artist. You are an actual publisher, right? Like that's a different thing. But there are many projects that I don't talk about, partly just from like my own personal stuff because I'm pitching them to publishers. So I don't talk about them because I want them to buy them, right? Or license them or whatever. But yeah, please disclose this agreement. It's about marketing. Yeah, exactly. And when you have to worry about selling that book in a different way, that totally makes sense. And again, you're just in a different, different level maybe is like too dismissive to what we're doing, but you're on a different level than I am, so that makes sense. But if I ever worked with you and you wanted me to sign an NDA, I'd sign it. I won't say anything. Also, no one listens to me anyway, so you're golden. Meanwhile, I'm like, this is real, it's happening. It's barely an idea. Yeah, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. Partly because I think that I get like dopamine. I get excited, and then I don't want to do the project as much because I already shared it. People already told me it sounds cool, and I'm done. So I try to play it close to the chest until it's already a thing, you know? I listen to you. Okay, okay, everyone here listens to me. You're not nobodies. You're all awesome, and I love you. And I don't want to say that nobody listens to me. But when it comes to my projects that I talk about, I don't talk about them until they're actually happening. One of my favorite things to do is to message Alex, a secret project that I have going on that's already like fully finished. It's got pages. It's being pitched to publishers. Just as a surprise thing, like, haha, look at this project. It's one of the things that brings me the most joy in my life. But as a publisher, it's a little bit different, right? Like, I didn't talk about The Digger until Invader Comics said, hey, start talking about it. We're going to start soliciting it. We want you doing interviews and doing that stuff. And that's when I started talking about it. Wait, Cosmic Times is a publisher? Yeah! I am the most somebody nobody. You told me nothing. I always send you once they're already happening. And I have several pages completed, and I'm soliciting them to people. But again, like, I kind of play that by whatever publisher I'm working with. Like, Professional Entropy was really easy because issue 1 and 2 of all those books were already ready. No, not doing that. One second, guys. Yep, sure was. Banned, blocked, reported. Sorry about that. Some people's kids, you know. No hate here, not welcome. Anyways, but yeah, Martin, whatever you would need, uh, I can play it close to my chest. Is there a way I can promote? I have a large following on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, man, always share it. Like, I almost always have a Kickstarter going for one of my books. Hellion and Bash and Tokyo Fire are my 2 books that are at Professional Entropy, a publisher that I work close with and own a piece of. And then Invader Comics is publishing my book called The Digger that comes out in September. I'm talking about it. It's in solicits. It's going there. And then my name's T.S. Luther. Feel free to tell people about it. My name's T.S. and I write comics. Don't make me go back to work. I won't make you go back to work. I'm sorry. But I hate, so I had to make sure I could ban them and get them out of there. Because I'm not playing like that. I just don't understand it. Those are the type of people that read comic books and don't understand that Superman would not vote for the right. You know? Like, like, it's how... I've never understand how you can be a bigot or a fascist and still read comic books like that. Like, how can you read Superman and not understand how kind and supportive that man is? You need stickers when you start doing cons with your intro. I never thought about putting that as a sticker. Professional Entropy helped me get these produced. This is Pterodactyl from issue 1 of Hellion and Bash, and Yeti Man, art by Fish Lee on this one. And I'd never done stickers. I'm not a big merch guy. And they're like, we have to sell stickers. So we made those ones. But do you think I should make up that one? Dude, people don't know me like that when I go to cons. I'm tabling at Tulip City Toy Fair in a couple of weeks. I guess I could make a stickers, but I don't think anyone who's there is going to know who I am, you know? Superman is a symbol of hope. Yes, he is. People love freebies at shows. That's true. You know, they're going to type it into Google. That's a good point, dude. What is Pterodactyl's first name? Pterodactyl's name is Clarence George. Supermodeled after a couple of different, like, old-timey actors. But you can catch the reference of Clarence and George to It's a Wonderful Life if you know that old movie, because I'm an old man. And Clarence George is one of the nicest people in the world. Again, going after that character. But if you know Jimmy Stewart, that's kind of who he's modeled after. And he gets a lot of storylines as the story goes forward in Hellion and Bash. But he's awesome, and he gets another cameo appearance in issue 2. So definitely go check it out if you like that. Yeah, definitely make them and give them away. All right, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna. I mean, what's it cost for a couple hundred stickers? You know, not much. That's not Terry. No, his first name is not Terry. His name is Clarence George. He gets turned against his will into the pterodactyl. Submitted beats. Oh heck yeah, dude! I'm so happy for you. Where'd you submit it? Or do you not want to tell me? That's okay. I pitched Hellion and Bash in a couple of places, but then really quickly I got some feedback from some of those publishers that were like, "Hey, we're not looking for a superhero book right now," kind of thing. Invader Comics, oh nice, dude, love Invader, love working with them. One of the coolest publishers ever. Partly because they're one of the first ones that gave me a chance, but also especially Mike Perkins over there. That dude loves comics, loves creators, and again, just one of the kindest people I've ever met, let alone worked with. And he knows his stuff. And he's really, really helpful when it comes to publishing comic books. So go check out Invader Comics. But I pitched Hellion and Bash in a couple of places. They gave me some good feedback, and I had much better luck with Tokyo Fire. And then The Digger was much easier. And then sounds like some of the other ones that I'm doing, I'm having more success with. And I don't know if it's because of the books that are doing well, or if I wrote better ones or whatever, or if it's because I have a better resume these days, like saying that I've worked with Invader, Professional Entropy, and all of our indie friends. I don't know which one are getting me the gigs, but either way, I'm doing much better these days when it comes to pitching. And I don't know if it's the books or if it's the resume. Sounds like they're the ones to give a chance. So why not? Oh yeah, heck yeah, dude! And even if they don't pick it up, they're ones to work with and keep an eye out. A lot of it is can you fill a gap in their schedule? What are they looking for? How long does it take to get the book out? And are you willing to do the work for the book? I'll try to toss in a good word for you. I don't think I have a ton of cachet over there by any means, but I do get to talk to them on a regular basis, so I'll mention you. See if it helps. Hopefully they like me, and they're not just saying that they like me. Otherwise, I might ruin your chances by associating you with me. Worst they can say is no. Exactly, dude. That's why you should pitch everywhere. Yep, and you move along. That's exactly it. And sometimes I get some really cool feedback. Again, a lot of what I've done and the plans I've put in motion have come from feedback from publishers who were kind enough to say why they said no and what I should be doing next. And even the ones that said yes are hey, do this and we'll help you do that. Again, working with Invader Comics, those dudes were so nice. They're publishing The Digger. It was the first book I'm going to have published by a publisher, and then I got another publisher gig that was going to happen before, and I let them know about it, and not only were they not combative or difficult, they were helpful, and they gave tips to Professional Entropy on what they should be doing in the space, and helped us find a printer, because that was the first book that they were going to be doing, and they were so kind. And they've also put in a good word for me at other publishers, and I'm always thankful to them. And my book hasn't even been on the shelves. It might not even sell for them. And they didn't care. They were still willing to help. And I feel like that's a rare thing to happen nowadays. But again, I'm a little bit of a tool. If a publisher's going to say yes to my book, I don't have so many gigs that I can just afford to say, no, not there. So I'll write for anybody, but Invader Comics is awesome. Sorry, I got an email from my accountant. Had to check that real quick. Ricardo, what's going on, dude? You're already back? How was your trip to the LCS? Yes, I'm still streaming. Been doing this all day. I probably should hop off here soon. I gotta start making dinner, do some laundry, write some comics. Let me do a quick check-in real quick to see how the book is doing. We are sitting at 80 backers, $3,393 out of a $3,000 goal, with 7 hours to go. 7 hours left to go check it out. It's tough when you know a book is worth a chance. Yeah, it is. You kind of have to just like accept that even if it's worth a chance, it might not be at the place for it. And it makes it hurt a little bit more when you know that this book is good. But as someone who's done Kickstarters and self-publishing, that it's not the end of the life if everybody says no to it. Eventually people say, everyone said no to Tokyo Fire. Everyone was like, nah, not for us. And you know what I got when I published Tokyo Fire and did the Zoop crowdfunding thing, and then was doing other books and pitching other stuff, was regret from some of those publishers going, we should have taken a chance on Tokyo Fire. And honestly, that was really redeeming for me. That felt really good. Last Ronin should be animated by the Spider-Verse team. That'd be dope. Yeah, but it's getting that live action movie. If it ever comes to fruition, it's also supposed to be getting the game. We'll see what happens with those licenses. I feel like so much of that stuff ends up as vaporware. However, so many cool studios have done good Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle video games recently. Hopefully we'll see that come to fruition. And I'm here. If it ever does happen, and I'll be there for it. I don't know, man. Exactly. I don't hold out a lot of hope that it'll happen, but if they prove me wrong, it'll be cool. I never thought that Spider Noir story TV show was ever going to happen. I was like, that's vaporware. That's never happening. Amazon's not actually going to complete that. And it's seemingly going forward, every day there's new news about it. So sometimes they can surprise you. Now, the real question is, do we ever actually see the third Spider-Verse movie? Does that actually happen? Because I need that. I need that before I go. Before I kick the bucket, I need that third Spider-Verse movie. And someone to fix their mistake and make the Batman Beyond movie with the Spider-Verse animation. Every time I hear stuff about that, I just cry. We could have had that, and it's gone. It was right there. And it just makes me sad sometimes. We're never getting Batman. Exactly. It's never going to happen. Which is so crazy. Especially when, you see so many studios going, oh, no, that won't sell. When, Batman Beyond was so corporate of a product already. It was created purely because they're like, we want Batman, but for younger people. And, so they said, go make it. And they made one of the coolest things ever with it, right? But it was a top-down mandate to make it. And so when you see these corporate entities going, nah, that's not going to sell. I'm like, it was created to sell. It was made in a lab. Come on. Well, the voice actor for Miles is in a blender with the internet right now. That's so true. That's very fair. Shamik Moore he's doing a lot. And had great original villains, great original characters, great storylines, and it had its cake and ate it too, because it also continued some amazing storylines from the animated universe originally, and has had so many amazing follow-ups since. So many of his comic book runs are good. And have tied into main continuity stuff and played with other DC entities. It has a little bit of everything. And plus the main character's name was Terry. And you know how few Terrys you get in cartoons as a kid with the name Terry? Come on. So Shrek 5, though. The animation looks good. I was just a little disappointed in the Shrek 5 trailer not looking like the old Shrek. I completely understand. It's different, completely different teams, different animation tools, all of that stuff. It's just you have that nostalgia for what it kind of looks like, but it's still going to be fun. I'm excited that they're doing another one. My kids recently got into Shrek, so I'm excited that I get to take them to the theaters and see one. Yeah, he's main canon, so that's wonderful. Exactly. How many of those animated series characters, Harley Quinn, what we think of when it comes to, Mr. Freeze, all those things, they came from those animated series, so when they don't get a chance at these studios now, it's kind of baffling to me. I'm like, you don't understand. These used to print money. Why aren't you going to give this a shot? But listen, I don't own a big studio. Maybe I'm super duper wrong and I don't know what I'm talking about. People are already predicting the plot. Oh, totally. And they're probably right. But it's still going to be funny. I'm still going to laugh. It's not like watching Shrek. It was completely unbelievable the first time you go into it. Super original, no original ideas kind of thing. It was predictable already. It's still entertaining. Sometimes I need a movie that I can just eat popcorn and giggle about with my kids. So I don't mind it being that. And some of them will surprise you. Like I remember the fourth Shrek being like honestly impressive with what I was gonna get. So Shrek 5, but the Croods. Have you ever seen the Croods animated series? My kids were watching it, and you hear some dude doing a Nicolas Cage impression, and I'm like, "What are you watching?" And it was a cartoon of that, and I never thought of all the movies that would get an animated series follow up. It would be the Croods, but it did, and they watched it, and they really liked it too. But I can't necessarily account for taste for a 5-year-old. Nothing wrong. Nothing is wrong with predictable. It's everything around it that should surprise you. Exactly, right? Like there can be some really solid stuff, and like the plot is predictable, and we're gonna be able to predict some of those jokes because it's for a broad audience. That's kind of what happens, right? You have to go broad with some of your comedy, but it can still subvert and do some really interesting things and have some jokes that are gonna make us laugh in a way that we didn't expect. And I just don't like judging stuff before it's fully out yet. Like, yeah, some of it's gonna be predictable, but I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. I'm not one of those people. I'm not gonna post the review before it's out. Like that seems silly. And also, like art is subjective, man. Like how many people will say, "Oh, this thing is bad" or "that thing's dumb," and I have a good time. Like, oh yeah, maybe it's not the smartest thing, but I enjoyed it. I didn't feel like they stole my money. Like it seems ridiculous a little bit. Batman will win in the end, but it's all the stuff around it that makes the movie. Exactly, dude. Like, yeah, his daughter's gonna go do something that he doesn't want her to do, and it's gonna be about him chasing after her, but learning to let her go. And we're gonna get a lot of jokes about people who have really raspy voices, but they're tiny. Like, it's gonna be all the same jokes that we get before, but that's also part of the fun. Sometimes nostalgia can be good enough for the price tag. I don't mind that. I don't mind member berries sometimes. It's not always what I want to eat for a meal, but sometimes it's a good time. Yeah, I do agree. Not everything is going to be Shawshank. Exactly, and I don't need it to be because I have Shawshank. And we get those movies all the time still. Like, you have amazing studios who are making original pieces of stuff that isn't just regurgitated or a sequel or a remaster or a remake or a reboot. Like, that stuff does exist, and I do get it. And I get some amazing sequels, and I get stuff that subverts it. Sometimes I just want to watch Captain America throw a shield, though, right? Like, I love Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is probably my favorite MCU movie. But I still had fun watching Brave New World. Did I think it was the most epic, best movie that's ever been created in cinema? No. No, I do not. It had a lot of issues. Was it worth $20 and a bucket of popcorn? Yep, it sure was. Me and my wife had a good time. Like the Mitchells vs. the Machine, so good. Mitchells vs. the Machine was fantastic. That is a constant rewatch in my house. I loved it. My kids loved it. My wife loved it. Obviously, animation being great, the pedigree of that studio. But like, so amazing and super original, right? Yeah, I was surprised at that. Totally, dude. And I've been playing Pacific Drive recently, and I have it very Mitchell's versus the Machines vibes, obviously with the station wagon and the alien stuff. And that's stuff like that comes out of nowhere that is super original and still has that nostalgic feel. Happens, and then I'll be so invested in it. It's getting a new movie that's coming out. I'm so excited. And sometimes it's a lot. Sometimes it's tiring. Sometimes it's stressful. And sometimes you just need Shrek 5 after playing something or watching something like that that's so heavy. Like, I'll watch an episode of Born Again, and I'm like, wow, that was a lot. Or Daredevil in general. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to turn on a cartoon that I watched when I was, 10. Same plot of father-daughter problems. That's why I say is the stuff around it that makes the movie exactly right. Like it's not anything that no one's seen before. Like honestly, that's probably the plot that you're gonna get in Shrek 5, right? But they're gonna subvert it. We're gonna laugh. The animation's gonna look pretty, and I get to hang out with my kids. Shrek 5 ever after. Right, exactly. But I'm gonna take them. We're gonna have a good time. And my kids are gonna have a good memory going to see a movie with me, and I'm gonna have a special feeling because I saw Shrek when I was their age. And yeah, is that all manufactured and by the book? Totally. Like they saw me coming. They got my number, and I'm fine with it. Sometimes I'm okay with that, like capitalism. Because I don't have to see Shrek 5 to survive, you know? I'm okay that it's a product that's been manufactured and written with the formula. It's the same reason why sometimes I want fast food when I can have like an authentic thing. Like sometimes you want Taco Bell, even though there's like an amazing Mexican restaurant around the corner, and I definitely like going there. But sometimes I want the crappier version because it's comfort. Man, that got heavy real quick, guys. uh, Let me check the Kickstarter real quick. One last check in. We're at 80 backers. We're at $3,393 out of a $3,000 goal. And it is almost 5 o'clock. And I got a lot of work to do still. So I think I'm going to wrap this up. I heard Mike Myers wasn't going to play Shrek this time, but he still got it. Oh, yeah. He I think that was a lot of the holdup, right? Is like until he wanted to do it. And then he did, and they're making it. But it's the same for comics. It's exactly the same for comics. Sometimes you do want those member berries, but you can wrap it in a cool package. That's what I love seeing. Like some of my favorite creator-owned creators, like doing big things, and then they come back around and they start working on the big two stuff again. And they can bring something really special to it because you can revisit these characters that were seminal and like had like a specific version in mind, and they're readapted because they're never ending and the reboots and the timelines shift or whatever, and they can put a new stamp on that character. You still have the nostalgia and the member berries of a character that you loved when you were a child, but now they're doing something cool and new with it, and you can have your cake and eat it too. And I love that. And I don't always need it to be the best thing I've ever read. I just need it to be entertaining in that moment sometimes. And when it's more than that, I'm impressed and I'm happy and I'm excited. And sometimes, like, I don't need it to be that level. Sometimes I need to be entertained for 25 minutes for $5. And I get that from Marvel and DC sometimes. Men in Black, but with Grim Reapers. You have Grim. Exactly. I love Grim. And it also like with a amazing like musical cue added on top of it too, right? Like that's something I think that is slept on a little bit, is like so much of that musical sensibility. But yes, thank you so much everybody for hanging out, chatting with me forever. But I do gotta go. I've been streaming for like 4 hours and I got stuff to do. Thank you so much for hanging out. Please go and check that out. And I know a lot of people have asked, inquired. I'm always open to writing stuff for people. Please hit me up. I write all day, every day. I'm working with all these publishers. And again, I hate doing the ego thing, but I feel like they're hiring me for a reason, right? So if you want me to write something for you, I'm open to it. I'm not so busy that I can't do that. Please hit me up about writing projects. I'm always in, okay? My name's T.S. Luther, and I write comics. One more thing. Oh, it was nice meeting you. Dude, it was super nice meeting you. Thank you so much. You can call me Waffles, brother. I will. I won't. Super duper is your father. I get it. You're just Waffles. I will hit you up about that reel. Get you on some of those ads, dude. Thank you so much, dudes. I will talk to you later.